All right, welcome back to the party, everybody. I am your host, Lunch, aka the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Everybody hit that like and subscribe, and let's party. So we're starting a little bit early today. There's some other stuff going on, and I'm trying to catch some people before they get into it. But really quick, let's say thank you to the sponsor of the stream, my6shirt.com. Whatever your persuasion, they've got something for you. And of course, it is the only place to get your very own The Indian Jesus official merch. Only at my6shirt.com. All right. Welcome to the party. We've got Pseudo Soda in the building. We've got Zippy the Strange in the building. We're starting a little early, like I said, but we gonna do it. Like I said, turn those notifications on so that you know when we're going live. Replay gang, you missed the best part. So make sure you are here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. And like I just said, sometimes I feel like going on early, and that's what we're doing right now. So, there's a lot going on tonight, actually, but none of that stuff is going to change by tomorrow. So what I figured we would do is, I figure if you're, a diehard, following the in the weeds of debates and this stuff, then you're going to be watching that. So let's check out something from last week where Bill Maher's podcast, he had on our favorite Republican candidate, what's his name? Vivek Ramaswamy. So let's just dive right in. As always, if you cannot hear the video, please do let me know.
Hey,
Bill,
here?
I'm here.
I knew you would be.
Swanky.
How you doing, brother?
How are you?
Be back in LA with you.
Look, I get the bro hug.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. You know?
I brought you something from my garden.
Oh, that's nice.
Nice.
It does look nice. Yeah.
Have you ever seen a zucchini that big? I think it's a little better than nice.
It's substantial.
Overcompensating for something, bro?
It's substantial. Yeah.
Well, Jesus Christ.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
You know, I was talking to such a stud that you find this merely substantial.
Oh, that's good. No, I'm
are you kidding?
Hey, y'all don't know about that Indian, you know what I mean?
Where, have you just been at the Iowa State Fair or something?
I've been hanging out there a lot. Yeah.
Okay. Well, don't they have like biggest vegetable
I think
prizes? Wouldn't this?
I think you got to go there and compete. Have you ever been to Iowa?
No, I don't want to go there. I just want you to admit that this is like
it's very impressive.
Interesting way to start off the podcast. And I think this is very Bill Maher of Bill Maher. To be like, hey, you're my guest, but you're going to sit there. I'm going to make the entrance, and then I'm going to have something that's a gift for you, but I want you to admire me for it. Can you encapsulate Bill Maher any better than that? I don't think so.
It's very impressive. Yeah, it's very
well,
impressive.
It's yours because I heard you hadn't eaten.
Zucchini, I'm going to take it with me.
No.
I'm going to take it with me. Well,
they said you were hungry.
Yeah, well, I'll
because you're like on the go
all the time, man. Yeah.
See, this is what's great.
Fun, but
this is what's so advantageous about running for president when you're 38. Because I remember 38. And I still run around the country, but I couldn't do it like that now. I mean, you really.
But you've been through that phase, you know. What
absolutely,
it's like,
and you can just run your body ragged 24/7. Especially, I'm sure you don't drink, or I mean, you're
not try to not have too many vices. Yeah.
But do you think it should be legal nationally?
I think that we should align the federal law with the state law. I think it undermines the rule of law that we have.
So that means yes?
Yeah, it means yes.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, Vivek is down for legal marijuana. And I mean, I assumed as such, but I never heard him say it. So word up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because it's so silly now.
It's a joke. It's a farce.
It's a joke that I have to look up when I'm going to a state. And by the way, I don't even do it anymore because I figure if they're going to get me in Oklahoma for having this with me, they'll be the ones who are embarrassed, not me.
Well,
fair enough. And Zippy says, Bill Maher's a bit greasy, but not that bad. I agree with that. He is a little bit greasy, and he absolutely had a terrible case of TDS during those years. But he seems to be coming out of it. And, even being willing to have this conversation with Vivek, he's always been willing to, reach across the aisle. He has a lot of friends who are, on the right. But I agree with this. A little bit greasy, but not that bad. We got Bailey in the building. Hello, 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 hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the party. We also got Jared S. Idol, another awesome YouTuber. Let me grab my notes here. And I will drop the link for his channel in just a second. But he says, I just watched. Man, Bill can be insufferable douche sometimes. Yep. Yeah, I mean, especially when he feels like he knows everything. And I think that's kind of what Zippy was getting at. Yeah, just drop the link to Jared's channel, please go check him out. Awesome stuff. But like I said, he is getting better. And when we're looking at the conversation here, we are expecting people to be, underhanded and greasy and douchey and all that stuff. And the question is, how does the candidate handle it? So that is perfect for our purposes. Zippy says he does live in Hollywood, so he cannot always speak his mind. Of course not. That would be haram. Oh wait, I moved that button. Haram. There we go.
Well, also here's the thing though, is when you have different standards of law, like when you have that look the other way and sweep it under the rug, that's when you actually get an unfair state that can target people for saying the wrong thing, thinking the wrong thing. Oh, I don't like what you did here. Right. I got to throw the statute book at you, and then we're going to do something where we otherwise don't charge it.
And historically, racism
historically
hid behind states' rights.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
it wouldn't be a liberal if the very first thing didn't come back to race.
This was part of our past.
Right.
And today, I think political discrimination, I think, is the new equivalent of unfairness in the law that we've seen for racism in maybe decades and centuries past.
Well, I will say this, where I think we're fairly in agreement on. I keep saying my mantra is, let's live in the year we're living in.
Yeah.
Because so many people seem to, on the left, this is a left thing, they seem to want to insist on having our deplorable past permanently stand in for our much improved present, which doesn't mean there isn't work to be done. There certainly are still racists in America and racism. But
I mean, there you go. This is the bill that I don't want to say fell in love with, but as I was coming up in paying attention to politics, that bill was instrumental in me, learning to not just swallow the mainstream narrative whole. Even though, the mainstream is going to be, establishment bullshit all the way around. And Bill might be a little bit to the left in some ways and a little bit more anti-establishment in other ways. He's still a liberal. But when you're only watching CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News, then it's really great to have somebody who's going to say the things that aren't going to be on the cable channels. Jared says, I don't think it's because he's in Hollywood. I think that's just him. He was like this when he had his show in the 90s, Politically Incorrect. So I never actually got to watch Politically Incorrect. Like I said, I wasn't really paying attention at that time. But I think the fact that he, that the whole point of that show was him saying the things that other people, weren't willing to say. And so without, I would have to see, kind of I guess like a montage of a bunch of different clips, or not a montage, but you know what I mean. So I'll take your word for it. But he definitely has always been like, that show got canceled because the establishment did not like what what he was doing there. So certainly lots of flaws, but there are way worse people than Bill Maher, as long as he doesn't have the TDS. Bailey says, let's live in the year we're living in. I like that point. I do as well. And that is a big part of why initially I was still ready to not entertain the idea of voting for Trump. Because at first, all he was really talking about was the 2020 election. And I mean, I don't believe that let's just say, I don't know exactly what happened with this and that. And I don't think that he did anything illegal, but I don't know how realistic or practical it was for him to want to go down all of these legal avenues of questioning the election. But the fact of the matter is, Biden is now the president. I want you to talk to me about what you are going to do in 2024 forward. And so I like that. Yeah, let's live in the year we're living in. Jared said when he had wrestlers on, he was very arrogant with them. Oh, well, arrogant is Bill Maher's middle name. So that does not surprise me one bit.
But I feel like we are very often not treating it like, oh, this is 2023 now, and this is where we are. This is the work that has to be done. But let's not be chasing these phantoms of racism that aren't the parts that exist anymore.
Welcome, Josh Shum. Sorry if I said that incorrectly. Welcome to the party. He said, why are you about to light up a doobie in front of a presidential candidate? The guy is so full of himself. I'm going to give Bill a pass here because that is kind of the nature of the show. And so this is like when Khabib went on, I think it was Khabib. It might not have been, but let's just say it was Khabib. Went on to Mike Tyson's podcast, which is called The Hot Box or Hot Boxing with Mike or something like that. And he asked him not to smoke. And it's like, bro, that's what the show is. Like if you didn't know that, first of all, that's your fault for not doing the homework. And two, then just don't do the show then. So I will give Bill a pass there because I do think that is part of the ambiance of the show is that, hey, we're going to sit and we're going to smoke and drink and do whatever. And you don't have to. He's not saying, hey, you have to do this. If it was any other context, then I would be right there with you. But I'm willing to give him a pass because that is the nature of the podcast. But welcome to the party. Good to see you. Zippy says to Jared, I don't know how you can esh on wrestlers. It's a combination of acting, performance art, and acrobatics. I'm just gonna respect everyone else's opinion and not talk about my opinion here.
Yeah, and I think that we can celebrate that.
Yeah, I
think that we should
Progressives
celebrate that,
should.
right? I think that we all should. We're all, I mean, in some ways, I am pro-progress, right? Does that make me a progressive, a conservative? I don't know what those labels are.
Yeah, I mean, think about, how often do I talk about semantic obfuscation, taking words and phrases and using them in a very confusing way to make political discussion more difficult. The idea that progress has now become a left-wing, and not only just like the Democrat thing, but a far left progressive thing that only progressives can be for progress. And of course, that's not the case, but that's how they want to frame it.
But I'm pro-progress. And so, I think that the fact that what I tell some people, often friends on the left is, have we been hypocritical for most of our national history? Yes, we have.
Yup.
But our worst hypocrisies.
Hypocritical, you mean like all men are created equal?
Yeah, that we don't live up to, we have, and the point I was getting to is those hypocrisies are our best evidence that we have ideals at all. Right? Nobody calls Iran a hypocrite.
That's a great point.
Nobody calls China a hypocrite. You can't call them a hypocrite because to be a hypocrite, you had to have the ideals in the first place.
Right. That is a fantastic point I never even thought of. That you can only be seen in a bad light for doing what everybody else is doing if you said that we're going to try to do better in the first place. And definitely not a good thing to not live up to your ideals. But, it's worth pointing out that we do have the ideals in the first place. So replay gang, we do have our poll up right now. Do you trust Bill Maher? Yes or no? Right now, we are at an astounding 90% no, but let me know in the comments below if you are watching this after the fact. Do you trust Bill Maher?
Right. So then now you have ideals. Now, are we a nation of gods or are we a nation of men? We're a nation of human beings, okay?
Right.
Human beings are by definition flawed. So if you have a nation built on ideals and it's comprised of human beings and not angels, then you will fall short of those ideals. It's just like definitionally what happens. No, but at least we have ideals.
Right.
That's what my
and also that we do improve.
Yeah.
That, this is what's so annoying about, I've done many editorials.
Hey, shout out to Bill Bradley. Welcome to the party. So the irony is that hedonism and Gaia worship is actually 2,000 years regressive. There is nothing progressive about it, despite what far leftists think. Well said. Yeah, I mean, the idea of just doing, hedonism being, just doing whatever feels good in the moment right now because it feels good and not thinking about the future and all that kind of stuff. It's not very progressive. It's not really conducive to thinking about the future and improving our society and being actually progressive, not politically progressive, but progress in the way that they're speaking. Well said. Welcome to the party, Bill Bradley.
Tutorials about this, just like, again, just live in the year we're living in and stop like going after Columbus and like, yes, people were atrocious back then. He committed atrocities.
I mean, there are elements of Columbus that we ought to admire.
Absolutely. That was the world. And when people get so hung up on, well, Columbus didn't know neo-pronouns. What? It's like, bruh, read the room.
Still celebrate
Well,
today.
we wouldn't be here. Well, I guess we would. Somebody would have found
but
found it eventually. It's so
but
big.
it's the spirit of exploration, the spirit of being the unafraid, right? That's what we take on.
To have the balls to get into 3 little wooden ships that are probably the size of this room.
And to just go.
When you didn't know what was on the other
Literally,
side.
or you thought India was on the other side, is what you thought.
But it was a theory.
You had no idea.
They were looking for Vivek.
Everybody else
falling
said,
off.
They said, you will fall off the edge of the world.
Shout out to the flat earthers who still think that is the case. I know, the ice wall, but whatever.
That's right. But, the reason they did it was because, before when the trade had to go through the Middle East, if you wanted to trade with China like Marco Polo, you had to go through the Middle East, and it's called the middle because they were literally middlemen. Like all the trade went through.
Totally.
And Columbus basically said, I would rather fall off the edge of the world than have to deal with those people.
Based.
And the deserts and
getting my
the
silk
conditions.
through one more day.
I mean, these guys were the pioneers, the explorers, and even the
What do you mean? Well,
the founding fathers.
What do you mean? Well, did y'all hear that? Did I miss that? He said these were these were pioneers, and Bill said, well,
the explorers, and
even
what?
The founding fathers had that spirit. Like, take another guy who has that spirit, Thomas Jefferson. Right? You have this historical view of Columbus.
Did you guys hear when I don't exactly know when it was? I just saw a clip maybe on like TikTok or Twitter or something when Al Sharpton was on MSNBC and he's like, could you imagine? I guess they were talking about January 6th. Can you imagine if Thomas Jefferson tried to take over the government? Yes, sir. Actually, I can, because he did. Welcome to America.
Bad.
He's evil. He had slaves.
He was fucking one of them.
Yeah, more than one, I think, is actually the accurate truth. But the reality is, he's also a guy. So people say I'm young running for president. I'm 38. You know how old he was when he wrote the Declaration of Independence?
12.
33.
Oh.
Yeah, split the difference.
33. Okay.
Yeah, but give him credit.
Well, yes, you're right.
He's writing the Declaration of Independence, and he decides that he needs a swivel chair. And I feel like I could use a swivel chair right now, but he decides he needs a swivel chair. So he invented it.
Who did?
Thomas Jefferson.
That's crazy. But even think about 33 years old. I'm 33 years old right now. And I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job with the channel here, but it's a relatively small channel and I don't really have much at all to my name. And I don't think that's very much too different than a lot of other people my age. Not to say that there aren't successful people my age. I mean, Vivek's only a few years older and he's sitting right there. But this is kind of why I am perfectly down with Vivek's idea about raising the age I don't know exactly how he phrases it, but specifically with voting to 25. And not that you can't vote before that, but between 18 and 25, you would have to pass a civics test or do some type of service. But the 33-year-old of 1770 and the 33-year-old of 2023 are not the same at all. Bill says, presentism is a fallacy of many liberals. Analysis of events in the context analysis of events in the context in which they happened is a totally foreign concept to them. Yeah, like they think that because with the neo-pronouns, that Martin Luther King didn't, said there was only 2 genders, so he's a bad person. What? Like, that's really how they think. No context. As if he says, when the market is lean and simplified, you have more pioneers leading the way. Yeah. Jared said he launched a new channel dedicated to writing. Had to separate the 2 worlds. Word up. Send me that link somewhere and I will drop it in here for you. definitely want to check that out.
Invented the swivel chair?
Yes.
I thought Franklin was the inventor.
Well, Franklin was also an inventor.
They
He invented
all
the Franklin
were.
stove. He invented the bifocal spectacles. Franklin's case, he actually invented one of the earliest remedies for the common cold. So all of these guys, they weren't like the kinds who said, "Oh no, you're not an expert. You're not trained in that." They just said, "We're going to do it. We're going to figure it out.
What
We're going
remedy?
to do it."
What's the cold remedy?
It was something that it was like a home brew, but it worked.
And it still works?
You know, I think there have been. I will say this. There has not been a good, like, for all the things the pharmaceutical industry has created, a cure for the common cold is not on the list.
Right. And
So we haven't gotten further along than Benjamin Franklin did.
And the shit that the pharmaceutical companies sell to treat it, the NyQuils.
Was far
Like the jab that you pushed for 3 years, Bill.
worse for you than what Benjamin Franklin came up with.
And probably in the long run, worse for the cold, you know?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it might treat
Facts.
immediate symptoms a little bit or something, but I mean, some of that stuff. And look, I've
Designed to knock you out.
It's funny. It's funny how you can understand this about virology and all that kind of stuff. But for the last 3 years, you're a horrible person if you don't take this experimental thing that Big Pharma is pushing. This is the TDS. It's the remnants. It's the remnants. He's not still that crazy, but these ideas that he had through the Trump years seem to have stuck with him. He seems to not take on any new crazy ideas about Trump as harshly. Not that he's good on Trump, but I wouldn't call it TDS anymore. But talking about Big Pharma after you just spent years doing this, like, bro, what are you doing?
Yeah, so you forget about it.
I hate to do anything like that, but like the one symptom I had when I had COVID was I had a stuffy nose for a couple of nights. That was really
Are you stuffy right now?
No.
Okay.
Why? Do I sound it?
You sound a little bit, yeah.
Well, I've got that 24-hour COVID. No problem. No.
That's all those jabs you got, bro.
No. So I did reach for the nasal spray because it was just easier to sleep if I cleared my passages. But I didn't know that about Benjamin Franklin, huh?
Franklin and Thomas Jefferson.
And well, Jefferson. I mean,
Yeah, right. You did know that about Benjamin Franklin. It was the Thomas Jefferson that you didn't know. This is now that we're talking about like what Josh said about lighten up. It's like you only took 2 puffs and you're like not there. I've watched a lot of real time, and you're a snappy guy. You're like, oh yeah. So I'm going a little bit more in Josh's corner here. Zippy says if he does not toe the progressive line, he will be kicked from Hollywood. I don't know how true that is. I mean, he definitely can't just go buck wild and start red pilling everywhere. But I think it was more about him and his beliefs during all the COVID stuff that had him that far gone, and his own beliefs about Trump. I don't think that was being pushed on him. So I will give him the credit that even though he was batshit crazy, it was within him and it wasn't being pushed. Shout out to Unwanted Foe. Welcome to the party. Dropping in with the $2 super chat. And of course, every super chat comes with a treat for Morty. He says, thank you so much, as do I. Says, take the jab, trust the science. One of us. Good one. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. Thank you so much, brother. Welcome to the party.
Franklin, I kind of knew, but I didn't know about the cold remedy. Jefferson, I did. I guess they were all well. See,
the Franklin stove is named after Benjamin.
Yeah,
Franklin.
back then there was something called the Renaissance man.
Yes,
and a Renaissance man meant you did everything. That's
and
why
we have
that's
lost
not.
That.
Of course,
So I'm into that.
You're a Renaissance man.
I wouldn't say I wouldn't call myself a Renaissance man, but I respect the ideal, and yes, I do have diverse interests.
To that.
Nice. Shout out to Ayush Gupta. Welcome to the party. Said he's done good segments on the alphabet community being a social contagion. Yeah. So once that's what I'm talking about. That because that's what you're saying, Zippy, is that if he doesn't toe the progressive line, that's not really true, because as Ayush is saying here, he will call out the BS when he sees it. The problem is that he has so many biases that you are talking about with Hollywood and being surrounded with left-wing people and whatever, that his honest opinion is bullshit. But that doesn't mean that he can't say some good stuff sometimes. Welcome to the party, brother. Good to see ya.
Yes.
Yeah, and I aspire to be good
Right.
at different things, right?
Like
Well,
the-
I'm not some box
Right.
that you check in some sort of ordered society. Me and I will have
No, a
multiple different
Renaissance
pursuits.
man, could speak many languages.
Yeah.
He knew archery. He
Be
knew
good at
horsemanship.
sports. Could be the same guy who plays music,
Absolutely.
piano.
Music, sword fighting. Like
Right, but remember the saying is not just jack of all trades. It's jack of all trades, master of none. There's a balance there. You cannot be a master at everything. So the idea there is that you want to, being a Renaissance man is that you have a little bit of, skill here and a little bit of skill there, so that whenever you need it, you can bolster that skill. You don't have any areas where you're just, lost. Zippy says, I don't know. The Rona stuff has died, and Trump is not worse than Biden, so they can't claim higher ground. I mean, I agree with you, but that ain't gonna stop him.
So I try to do this on the campaign trail. It sort of gets under my teams, makes them nervous sometimes. But we'll play the piano. I play college kids in tennis when I travel across the country. We'll get the best college players in the local college tennis team, hit with them. I rapped to Eminem at the Iowa State Fair.
I saw that. Don't do that again.
Oh, why not?
Why not? Why you gotta be like, oh my God, Bill. Oh my God. Like, did anybody not enjoy that? You guys saw that, right? When he was singing Lose Yourself? And Bill's, just don't do that, okay? That's not cool. You want to be cool, but you're not being cool. Come on, bro.
Because it didn't turn out well for Kendall Roy on Succession. When
I didn't get to that part of it.
Oh, well, he rapped at his father's birthday party. And
Oh, really?
guys who are not rappers rapping, it's just, I'm telling you,
That was funny.
it's just as a friend.
But my view, Bill, is I kind of do what I feel like doing at that moment.
Yeah, that's
So
the problem.
that's
You
kind of
can't
my-
always,
my
right, I
That's not the problem, Bill. You are the problem. Telling people who say, I do what I do because I want to do it, telling them that that's a problem is the problem. Shout out to Doodad Attack. Welcome to the party. Good to see you, brother. Welcome.
No, but when
And that's
people,
the spirit of our Renaissance.
okay, but I don't want
Want to invent the
president.
swivel chair? I'll invent the swivel chair. That's kind of where I'm at.
The idea of president, I do what I want at whatever moment, is not like an appealing thing. I see why your team is trying
Yeah,
to
they're
take
kinda
you away.
nervous.
Just the rapping. Tennis is
Yeah.
great, but
Yeah,
not,
well, tennis is more fun anyway. So that's where I'm at on that.
right.
But my point is, I think we have lost that spirit, right? Our inner animal spirit as a country and the people who run it, it has been caged. It's been tamed. It's been domesticated by this culture that
Been beta-fied.
celebrates vulnerability, victimhood, and penalizes the
Yeah.
pursuit of excellence and being free.
See,
And my
we-
view is, I think
Completely agree. It says he comes across as disconnected from the world lately. His snobby elitism showed up in his combo with Marianne Williamson, and it will show up in this conversation. That is who he is. He's always been that guy. And if you don't know better, then you have an air of like good. He should be telling it how it really is. But when you see that it's not based on anything, like, I'm all for somebody who is going to be direct and snappy and maybe a little bit arrogant if they have the ideas to back it up. But clearly he does not. And the loss of humility is sad. I don't know if it's a loss of humility. I don't think he was ever humble. He was just, exactly unwanted. He's been an elitist for decades.
it's a mentality that now we're doing well in the polls. I when I was at 0.0%, I said the same thing. I'd rather just tell people in this country who I am and what I stand for. And if they want to vote for me, fine.
Oh yeah, you definitely.
And if they don't, then don't. I will be very comfortable with that decision.
Well, I mean,
But I wish I would wish for more politicians to step up and embrace that.
right,
I said shit. Me too.
right. But like whatever you're getting, 7%. It's no one's taking that seriously. Like someone with 7%.
I am.
No, could you be president? Yes,
Yeah.
things could change. But this is the time when you're at 7. I've seen this before with politicians, when you can say anything,
Yeah.
because no one's paying that much of attention. And it's not like, well, he's not going to, this guy's not going to be president. I know he's a kook who thinks we should get rid of the FBI and the IRS, which is kooky.
So you've studied it's not.
And let's remember that that's what everybody, including myself, said about Trump for a long time. Yeah, you can't build a wall. He's not going to win. Whatever. Like, come on. So Dude said, I was late to the stream. What's a brief rundown about this stream? So Bill Maher is the host of Real Time. It's a liberal kind of panel political show on HBO. And he definitely is more moderate of a liberal than like some far leftists, but he definitely had, Trump derangement syndrome throughout the Trump years. And then, of course, we have Vivek here running for president. So he's here in enemy territory with a liberal. And Bill is definitely, he may not be on top of all of it, but he's definitely not afraid to say what he actually thinks. So I'm expecting, like I say, I like to have as fresh of a reaction as I can for you guys, but I do like to skip through just to make sure we got something good. And I expect some barbs to be thrown, and I want to see how Vivek responds. Aish says he's at 10% now and going second with 20 cents on predicted. Yeah, that's really what I pay attention to, the predicted polls, because the other polls are, you don't know exactly what they're doing, whereas predicted is the website where you can go and you actually pay money to think as to who you think is going to win, and that's the populace. That's the people who are actually voting. So 20 cents out of 100, not half bad. Not
kooky, actually. I'll explain to you why it's not kooky.
It's the FBI.
Yeah, let me explain that to you right now.
Who's going to collect taxes and catch kidnappers?
I don't need anybody to collect taxes.
You?
So let's talk FBI, actually. You want to talk FBI?
Oh, jeez. Yes, please.
I'm impressed.
No.
Oh, jeez. Oh, God. Let's talk about the FBI.
You've been reading the platform.
I do this for a living.
This
Hello,
is
you've
good.
been on my show,
This is
right?
good. Yeah, but
you know who I am?
Yeah, no,
I know. I'm
but,
up on political stuff.
Yeah. You're up into political
Right.
stuff, but this is getting into the details. So shutting down the FBI.
Well, that's a pretty big detail. Get rid of the FBI?
Yeah, I would shut it down, and I'll tell you why.
Oh, Jesus.
You ready to have an open? You're an
I'm
open-minded
listening.
guy.
I'm listening.
I know you.
Are you listening? Because it sounds like you're just being a little brat. Well, that sounds silly. I don't even need to hear what you have to say because the FBI has been there for such a long time. Of course we need the FBI. Who's going to collect taxes?
Listen, so I'm bothering with this, right? By the way, I have a book recommendation for you before I get to it. G-Man. Government Man. It's the history of the FBI.
Jerry Seinfeld.
J. Edgar Hoover's history of the FBI. You read that book, that will already open your heart and mind to the argument I'm about to make.
I'm already reading a book about cross-dressers, so I can't.
Okay, well,
No, I'm
this
kidding,
can come
but no.
next,
Okay, go ahead.
Cross-dressers are important too. But the gist is this. The FBI is a failed institution. It is...
Really quick, guys, can I just get 2 more likes? Thank you for partying with me. Let's get into it.
Once politicized, corrupt, and has been, in many ways, designed to be corrupt. J. Edgar Hoover designed it that way. The same FBI that threatened Martin Luther King with suicide, blackmailing him over incorrectly collected tapes, is now targeting its domestic terrorists for people who show up at concerned parents of school board meetings.
Yep.
So in some ways, it's
That's
built in
coming
by
from
design.
the FBI?
Yeah, it's coming from the FBI. Now,
I thought you knew all of this, Bill. I thought this was your job. I thought you knew all of this. You just said that.
Here's an answer to this, okay? At the local level, you've got local cops and you've got local prosecutors. You don't have a separate bureaucracy sitting in between. Well, now let's talk about the federal level. You've got the U.S. Marshals, and then you've got the DOJ. The DOJ has its issues, but I think the president can reform that through good appointments. You don't need the separate bureaucracy sitting in between.
Nope.
So I'll walk you through the math because I know you like details for this to be credible.
Well, certainly for this issue.
Yeah, for this issue, right? Because you brought it up. 35,000 employees at the FBI. 20,000 of them report into work at the J. Edgar Hoover building. Still, they celebrate his legacy. The J. Edgar Hoover building of the FBI they walk into. That's
Washington.
the bureaucratic rot. That's in D.C.
So you're saying 20,000 of the 35,000
can go
FBI men work
home.
in Washington in the same, they fit 20,000 people in one building?
I mean, it's a giant building.
20,000 people? In that
I don't know how many of them show up in the post-COVID era for Zoom or whatever, and they have field offices.
Well, that is a big building.
But I'm saying are in back office functions. 15,000 of them are frontline agents. These are good people doing investigative work on drug crimes or sex trafficking or whatever it may be.
All right.
They're not specialized at the FBI.
Hmm.
So I've offered, if I may say it myself, unprecedented detail on how to get this done. Those 15,000, move some of them to the U.S. Marshals, which have been far more effective at fighting child trafficking rings than the FBI. Move some of them to the DEA, which has been far more effective on the front lines of the fentanyl epidemic than has been
If
the
you're going to
FBI.
get rid of an agency, why don't you get rid of that one? The DEA.
Come on, Bill. I mean, like, I'm with you in the sense that, like, hey, we like to smoke weed. Let's get rid of the drug guys. But it's like the borders are being poured over with fentanyl. I mean, I was a drug addict for a long time. Trust me, I get how much you want to hate on the DEA, but we're having a real conversation here. Pathetic.
Well, actually, the investigative crime. I mean, we have laws in this country, so you could debate whether you like the laws or not. But I'm saying as long as you have the laws, we're talking about effectiveness here. And my point is the FBI is broken. Take financial crimes.
So you're saying the 20,000 people who work in Washington, they are all superfluous?
I can't tell you that every one of them to the last T is, but I've got 4 years to first term. I got to move quickly.
Yeah, I think you just.
And so I say chop it off, shut down the FBI,
Okay, so
move them to.
Worst case scenario, if we disband all of these alphabet agencies, including the CIA, FBI, DEA, ATF, all these things, the worst case scenario is that, like, that wasn't a good move. Let's hire some more people and try it again and build it up from the bottom and from the ground up, but do it right this time. No?
To the U.S. Marshals, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network at
Thank you so much for the likes, guys. Much appreciated.
the U.S. Treasury, to the Secret Service, which handles some financial crime as well, and then to the DEA.
Okay,
That's the answer.
so here's something the FBI was involved with. So I'm asking who would handle this.
Yes.
Ray Epps at J6. How about we just get rid of all of it, and then it's not a problem?
Say an ally country like Australia.
Yep.
Has a tip, and we trust that they are an ally and the person is credible.
Yep.
And he has been talking to someone who got drunk in a bar and said he had information about how a foreign country, Russia, was trying to infiltrate our election. And he was placed in this candidate's operation. He was an operative for the person running for president. So the Australian diplomat tells the FBI. Do you think that's right?
Well, I think we could separately talk about the circumstances of that particular case. But you're saying somebody gets a tip.
Well, that's
So the scenario that he's presenting is that an allied country has a tip. If we don't have the FBI, then they're just going to sit on it and we'll never know. That's such a stupid and simplistic concept. Nobody is saying that if there are the functions that actually we do need within law enforcement and federal law enforcement that aren't going to be filled. He just specifically said that they're going to move that over to the U.S. Marshals. So there's nothing being lost here except superfluous people and lots and lots and lots of tax dollars to pay for them. Shout out to Amanda, meme maker, Molwich. Welcome to the party. Good to see ya.
That's how the Trump-Russia investigation happened.
Which, you could argue this in multiple ways, Bill.
Well, what I'm arguing is this.
Like, watch yourself, Bill. You don't want to go here.
Say that actually is part of the corruption that led to.
Okay, but what I'm arguing is this, because this is what happened.
Yeah.
An Australian diplomat, somebody we trusted, said this guy, it was George Papadopoulos, I think was his name, was a little drunk one night, and he was telling him about how much the Trump campaign team was coordinating with the Russian government. Now we can argue the rest of the night about what happened after that. Of course, they did, but should that not be investigated by the FBI?
No, Bill, he just said that. Shout out to Daniel Cabrera. Welcome to the party. Said, so what is the FBI to do? Go in and smack the information out of the people? Shoot the information out of the people? I don't think so. Shout out to the CEO. All right, well, that's deleted. I don't know if that's about me or whoever else, but the TDS is back. Like I said, there's remnants. So the ideas that he had while he was under the spell of TDS definitely, definitely persist. I'm just saying that new information doesn't seem to be being filtered through that orange man bad thing as much. And Hillary definitely has more ties to Russia. Absolutely.
If not the FBI, I don't see how the federal marshals or who the Texas Rangers are going to handle that.
Why
I
not?
actually think U.S. Marshals would be a fine place if you move people to that
Really?
division. As a side, I mean, I'm going to resist the temptation to go down the rabbit hole of debating something that's like a dead horse that we needn't beat for what was, I believe, a deeply flawed Russia collusion narrative that went nowhere. But let's just talk about something like it. Is your question for the purpose of real?
That's what they're supposed. So Duda says the FBI just investigates threats to the U.S., but probably wrong. So that's what they're supposed to do. But more often, it seems like they are the cause of the threats to U.S. But I'm probably wrong. All right.
Organizing the FBI.
We have facts that are, well, at least fact, we have the reports of 2 Republicans, right? We had the John Durham report, right?
We have a Durham report.
Are you asking or are you telling? We had 2, I think, right, reports, right, from Republicans, right? The Durham, do you know or are you asking?
And what was the one before that?
The Durham report was about the FBI's. Yeah, yeah.
They were both about the investigation of the investigation.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
The FBI opened this investigation into whether Trump was too involved with Russia. Let's just put it that way, based on this Australian tip. And of course, it turned out he was. His campaign manager was sharing polling data with a guy in the GRU.
But you know who else was too involved with Russia? Was the Hillary Clinton campaign.
Not was actually, that's ridiculous.
It was via
Oh, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Hillary Clinton working with someone to enrich herself? No, come on. That would never happen.
No. The British guy, Christopher Steele, with the Russian disinformation operative, getting the golden shower story planted down, all used as opposition party research.
That's a red
to get
herring,
a FISA.
and
I'm just saying both parties. Politics apparently is far dirtier than I ever imagined in both political parties. And I just don't think it was good for the country, Bill. That we had that impeachment inquiry for the
let's
first
go
2
back to.
And that's a huge point. Is what is good for the country? We're getting so far away from the notion of these are the laws and this is what's supposed to happen. It is getting so convoluted that now we have to question, like, okay, these laws, this entire body of the government, is that good for the country? And so many people on the left are just stuck in this dogmatic idea that yes, of course. Why else? What else would they be there for? And it's dogmatic thinking, guys. You know how I feel about dogmatic thinking. The exact opposite I feel about Dan Jensen. Welcome to the party, my friend. With the super chat, no question, no comment, just pure love of the game. Let's give Morty his treat there. He says, thank you so much. Dan says, only here for a short time, must go back to work. Of course, Dan is a hard working man. Thank you so much. And of course, that makes you the new sponsor of the stream. He got you by 48 cents, Unwanted Foe. 48 cents.
To what we can actually talk about for real.
Yeah, because this is just like ancient stuff.
No. Because the 2 reports.
Okay.
The Durham report and they both said the same thing. And these are Republicans. At least Durham is.
I mean, to me, I could care less about the partisan distinction.
Well, everybody else cares about it. So let's not pretend you don't care.
Well, the reason I don't care because there's a lot of, I think about it as whether or not you're part of the managerial class or whether you're actually
that's not how,
being accountable.
Well, that's important too, but also.
And that exists in the Republican Party and the Democrat Party alike.
But we are crazy partisan right now. And people only stick with their team, even when they know better.
I tell
pot calling the kettle black, sir?
Grassroots conservative audiences across this country, even when I go to places like Iowa, and this will surprise some people. I think it's unique to now. I tell hard conservative audiences that I could care less for the Republican Party. I really could. And I go places like the south side of Chicago.
That's not brave. That's how Trump got elected.
Well, I mean, I think I hear something that's a little
The
bit.
Republican Party.
I'm not claiming to be brave. I'm just claiming to be where the country is right now. The country does not care as much for those partisan distinctions as the observers of politics would think. I went to the south side of Chicago. I went to Kensington in the inner city of Philadelphia. And those are places where Trump didn't go or where other Republicans don't go.
Good for you.
Well, the thing that I found is that here's what I will say. I've probably done hundreds of campaign events. I have not been in a room that was more hard line on two things, closing the southern border and ending the war in Ukraine, than an audience of 200, mostly 99% of them black Democrats in supposedly hardcore left.
Doesn't mean they're right.
Inner city of Chicago.
But just because an entire group of people agrees with you doesn't mean that you're right, which is true. But all the people that agree with me make me right. That's the logic, guys. That's the logic that we are seeing right here. Dan Jensen says, have you heard that Trump is going to talk with Tucker Carlson? Come on, bro. Daniel says, not that I was a big fan before, but I don't remember him projecting this hard. Yeah, that's always been him.
Which is interesting.
Doesn't mean they're right or it's not the right thing to do to keep funding the Ukraine war.
We can come to that in a second, but my point was
it may not
one,
be.
which is that the partisan boundaries on two of the most important issues of our time, probably the most important foreign policy question right now is what we do with the war in Ukraine, and a fundamental issue relating to our southern border because they're turning South Shore High School into an encampment for migrants. It's a fascinating finding that no Republican has showed up there. Now, they differed from me drastically, and we had at it. One woman walked out and left when I'm against racial reparations. And so we have real disagreements. But the most, and I'm not exaggerating this, the most vehement agreement for militarizing the southern border and taking $200 billion to aid Ukraine for a community that says, wait a minute, A, this migrant's getting $7,000 per person per month in South Shore High School. B, we're sending $200 billion to some other country halfway around the world. What about me? And there are deep echoes of that in the non-establishment wing of the Republican Party as well, which is why I come back to the fact that, agree or not with the individual policy positions, I just don't think that right now, the moment we live in, R versus D captures it, which is inspiring, actually.
And remember what Bill said, live in the moment that we're living in. That's exactly what he's talking about. Yet, Bill wants to drudge up old stuff and have this partisan BS. I mean, come on, do better. He's the same. Like, you could have had this conversation with Bill 10 years ago, and aside from the actual facts that happened, the events that happened, like, he's the same guy. I want to post it. I don't remember when near the beginning of the progressive movement, where Bill temporarily wasn't a talking point parrot. It was short-lived, but he was a human at that time. Yeah, and that's when I found him. And even if you remember when John Oliver first got his own show, I think it was right before Bill Maher's show. And again, I'm still thinking myself as a liberal at this time. And early on, when he did that show, I really, really enjoyed it because it wasn't, like talking about the news of today. It was talking about more like cultural issues. I remember, like the prison pipeline and traffic laws of people that like crazy traffic laws and things where somebody would get a ticket and then they can't pay it and then they got to go to jail. Oh, the things like that. And then all of a sudden, everybody. Bill and John Oliver included, just made everything about Trump, and their brain exploded. And so this is why I say that despite the fact that I do think that Trump is going to be the best leader for 2024, that we have to keep in mind that half of the country's brain explodes just by hearing his name and seeing his face. You can't get around that. I want to focus on to say he used to be against the insanity. Now he's fully invested into it. Bingo. Yep. Doodad says, isn't the southern border of Ukraine already armed, or is it a different border? Not sure. Unless you mean the U.S. border. We're definitely there. Border control is definitely armed. But I do not know about Ukraine. That one I would not the right person to ask on that one.
Possibility.
I wish you were right. I don't think you are about that. Not that everything you said there was wrong. I mean, it's important stuff. I mean,
okay, so then point out what he said that was wrong and why it's wrong, instead of just saying, nope, you're wrong. That's what he's doing. Daniel says, don't know. I've looked at some of those old clips. He's still pretty left-leaning. Yeah, he's always been left-leaning, but he wasn't just a simp for the establishment. He wasn't a simp for the current thing. Now he just has his talking points and he doesn't move from them. If you say something different, no. The Steele dossier said this. No. The FBI says this. It's like he has no critical thinking skills. The entire progressive ideology is to tamper down on critical thinking, and it's to make you conform to, hey, just listen to what we say. That's the entire point. Wanted fellow said Biden has no problem arming Ukraine's border, but not our own for some reason. Well said. Yeah, I mean, this is why when I brought David on, and even though I'm not super well versed on foreign policy and geopolitics and stuff, it's just a very fundamental question. When we have so much going on, we have so much money that needs to be spent here. Why are we sending away billions of dollars? There was a bill for, I'm pretty sure it was for $12 billion to be sent to Maui. But in that same bill, there was more than twice as much money, $24.1 billion in that same bill to be sent to Ukraine. Why? So he says militarizing the southern U.S. border to near absolute absolutely block border jumpers and cartels. And Zippy says to Unwanted, the left needs that slave labor and free votes. Yep, they'll do whatever they can, and they will spin it around and make it seem like their cheating is your bigotry. What? Yeah.
It's funny, you're such a good talker and you're such a likable guy.
Even that is underhanded. You're such a good talker and you're a likable guy. But I'm only saying that to cover up the fact that if anybody's listening and seems like they like what you're saying, that's all it is. You're just a good talker and a likable guy.
I think you really could go far. I mean, I must say you're one of the few guys who I find both disarming and alarming.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
I would say thank you to that as well.
But like
compliment.
No, I mean it. No, I mean, look, you're attractive looking, you're young. The country is, first of all, here's a big advantage you have. Biden and Trump, people hate this matchup and they hate that there's two geriatrics. So you're like the most not that.
They're both,
and that's where, personally I have a struggle, because I would love to be able to confidently vote for Vivek over Trump, knowing that he would win. But I don't see that as of right now. Of course, as every time I talk about this, there's a lot of time between now and election day. Vivek is clearly the better candidate. But Trump has such a strong base. So unless something happens where Trump is not able to run, and Trump says, guys, the only thing that we can do to fight the Democrats is to vote for Vivek, then I don't see him winning. I don't see him winning. And that sucks. That sucks because he's so good. Unwanted Foe said there's a big difference between being a Democrat or a liberal and progressive. The progressive movement is oppressive. The far left, much like the neo-Nazis, are the far right. Yeah, there's definitely a gradient, and there can be people who are, varying levels of grounded, varying levels of understanding, varying levels of having their finger on the pulse, regardless of where they are on that spectrum. And so, Bill's not that far down the spectrum. He's not super far left. He just doesn't know a lot. But I mean, again, he's an old guy who's got his situation. He's got his show, he's got his followers, and I'm not making an excuse, but it's understandable why he's just like, I know everything. I don't need to read anything. Just give me the cards. And I've been doing this for years. Okay. Like that's just who he is. Because unfortunately, until the left returns to a semblance of balance, it's all Nazis and it sucks. Let's not be hyperbolic. It's not all Nazis. We have to leave room for the understanding that people are willing to change, or people are able to change. They may not be willing to change, but we can get them to a place where they are willing to change. And as long as we have that avenue, then the war is not lost.
Oh,
over twice my age, literally. Yeah.
Right. And, you've got color in your face that's not either orange or, ghostly.
But
these are all.
there are older people who can be sharp, and there are younger people who have lost their wits. But I think I would like to think, and I think so far we're having fun in this, bringing a young spirit to running the country. Even when I think about the cabinet, this is neither here nor there, but when I was running my companies, one of my philosophies was, even in the industries that I was in, right? So the first industry was the biotech industry. The median age at our company for the biotech industry was young in terms of people who work there. And for me, at least, and this is the way I would run the federal government. It might be different for other people in the way they built their companies. But for me, I tend to find that people whose peak in their career is still yet ahead of them. I'm not going to say young or old, because there could be people who are advanced in years whose peak is still ahead of them.
Yeah.
But somebody, whoever it is their peak is ahead of them versus somebody who actually has a great resume. But by definition, if you have a great resume, it means you've accomplished great things. By definition, if you've accomplished great things, for many people, that means that chances are your peak might be behind you, and you're obsessed with talking about that.
I don't. What did I say? What did I say when originally I heard Trump starting to talk about the presidency and stuff? All of it was about the 2020 election. He makes a fantastic point that even if you have an amazing resume, that means that your best days are likely behind you. If you're some young buck who has some good stuff there, has demonstrated that you can be a successful businessman, that you can run a company, that you can do this, you can do that, you can go on all these different shows, all these different platforms, and come out of them unscathed, but you don't have a long resume, then probably your best days are ahead of you, which is what we should want. I like that. Not all Nazis, just some of them are commies. And Dad says, don't forget about the sovereign citizens. They think the laws don't apply to them. Oh man, I don't know where that came from. I don't know how people, because I've seen videos of the cop interactions with these sovereign citizens, and you'll be like, I'm not driving, I'm traveling. Okay, I'm not a person who whatever. And it's like, do you think there's just this magic word, this magic phrase that you can say that the laws don't apply to you anymore? I mean, no, you can win an election and be the president, and then the laws don't apply to you anymore. But just saying I'm a traveler, not a driver, doesn't mean shit.
Boy, do we accomplish a lot more with people whose peak is still ahead of them. So my campaign, fully staffed by young people. My campaign manager is younger than me. Talk about the way I've built my companies. So for the federal government, when I think about my cabinet,
have some older people.
A few.
Why?
A few, of course.
They're
and you can see that Bill is now just in the trying to win the argument stage of this conversation. I always say, stop trying to win an argument and just have a conversation. Vivek is presenting an idea that younger people have value in the sense that they are not stuck in their ways and so on and so forth. And all Bill can say is, well, you need some older people. Like, bro, what are you here for? What are you here for? What are you here for? Zippy says, sovereign citizen is the original TDS and do not understand the law. Fair enough. I want to post the day people stop treating the presidential election as a popularity contest is the day our society will be ready for colonizing space. I tend to agree with that, but only in the sense that if that's what it takes, then we are never colonizing space. That's just what it is. It's a popularity contest. There is no other way around it. And that's why, early on, if some of you guys remember, somebody asked me, what do I think matters more in politics? Is it policy or is it emotions? Is it policy or is it feelings? I believe is the actual phrasing used. And at first I was like, of course, policy. We need to have the right policies. But then I was thinking about it. I was like, actually, it really does come down to how people feel about things, doesn't it? And it's true. It's just about how people feel. And that turns into a popularity contest. So I'm right there with you, but don't hold your breath, brother. Shout out to Ezekiel. Welcome to the party. Said, Bill made himself look like a clown. Vivek at least showed respect. Absolutely. He's and just like every other appearance that he's done, he is getting all of the BS thrown his way, and he's just ducking and dodging and doing an amazing job. Welcome to the party, brother.
Every society.
But it will lean young. It will skew young.
You're
is
from
what
an
I think.
ancient culture that seemed to understand, like most cultures in the world, the village elders.
Yes.
You know, Confucianism in China. Like most countries revere the elders for their wisdom. It's true. You have a great amount of energy at 38. You're super smart. But I do see something that alarms me, truly.
Fair enough.
Because you don't have the wisdom about certain issues.
Oh, and you do, Bill? And Biden does? Come on, bro.
Come on, man.
I don't think you think Trump lost the election.
Well, I think that big tech interfered. You and I have talked about this like a year ago.
What the fuck does that matter?
I want to say...
What do you mean, what the fuck does that matter? What do you mean, what the fuck does that matter? If he lost the election, but he would have won had the tech companies not censored the laptop story, which is... I don't know if it's verifiably true, but the polling says enough people would have changed their vote that Trump would have been the president. So what do you mean, what does it matter? That is the crux of the issue. That is why Biden is our president.
Who got the Of course, big tech interfered. They interfered for Trump.
How is blocking the biggest story against his opponent helping Trump? Like, cope harder, bro. Cope harder.
All about Fox News being...
It's the largest illegal campaign contribution in human history.
Okay, but who actually got more votes?
Biden got, I mean, literally in terms of the number of votes that were counted.
And Biden won the states.
I have seen no evidence to suggest
there is
that there was.
That's why you haven't seen it. And so Biden won the Electoral College.
I want to come back.
Wait, just answer this. No, you can't come back. You can't play politician.
Well, I want to come back to it after we're done with this.
Did Biden win the amount of electoral votes that they said he won, and therefore is the legitimate president?
Yes, because they didn't. The people who voted for Biden, who otherwise wouldn't have, did not see the story that was illegally blocked. It's not a complicated thing. Like nobody's saying that Biden didn't get more votes. We're saying, why did Biden get more votes?
I think the reason he's
not the right answer.
No, the reason the election was rigged was big tech. That's really the answer, Bill. And I'm data driven.
It doesn't matter. Big tech is always it does matter.
Here's what matters.
But we can't. At the moment, it's happened.
I accept Biden's the duly elected president of the United States. I said it at the time.
Everybody does bad things during campaigns, including using big tech. What matters is that.
Okay, so then we're not going to go after Trump anymore because they all do it, right? They all do it. So why is Trump different? Ezekiel says, I've noticed many Christian Republicans who are upset about him being Hindu, and many Republicans say they won't vote for him since he's Hindu and open about it. Hindu phobia. Keep telling you guys, dogmatic thinking is going to destroy this country. It's going to destroy the world, but it's definitely going to destroy the country. As he said, Bill is invoking Hillary. Oh no, please no, not Hillary, not Hillary.
And who got the most votes? We have to start with somewhere that's real. That's what's real.
Okay, Biden got the most votes. Okay, we stared there. We got that. You got that. Why did Biden get the most votes? Did it have anything to do with changing how we do our election en masse? Did it have to do with blocking the story we just talked about? Okay, that's how you move the conversation forward. We did start there. Let's start there. Okay. We did start there. And then we moved on. But you don't want to move on because moving on shows you that you are full of shit.
Who won those states that puts him in the White House? And you cannot just say to me, yes, Biden won the election. Because
I said that at the time. I said at the time,
Biden won the election.
Because Biden had the most votes in the election. Biden had the most votes.
Can't say those words. It's like you're a husband who can't say.
No,
he literally just said it 4 times. Am I stupid? Are my headphones not working? He did just say Biden is the president. Biden is the duly elected president. Over and over and over again. I might be going crazy, guys. I don't know. I might be hearing things.
But the reason is, Bill. I mean, there's good data on this.
Reasons. Who cares about reasons? Why do reasons matter? All that matters is that I said a thing.
We were systematically suppressed. The Hunter Biden bribery story, which is relevant today.
That's what
on the eve of an election where most people who are independent said, many people who are independent, enough to change the outcome of the election, said they would have changed their vote had they had access to that information. It's the
Okay,
greatest
Trump-
form of election interference in human history.
No,
That's actually the fact.
that would be Russia. If you're listening, please find Hillary's emails and then release them on WikiLeaks. That was the biggest breach. I mean, you can't really believe.
You're talking about James Comey and his statements before the 2016 election.
I'm talking about Trump. Trump said that. I don't need James Comey. Trump said, Russia, if you're listening. You don't remember that moment?
I mean,
you don't remember that?
I don't particularly remember that moment, but I'm talking about large technology companies in this last election.
Okay.
I just think if we don't learn from that, Bill, we're destined to make the same mistakes again.
I don't remember either. I do remember something about what he's talking about. Do you guys remember what Bill is trying to say here? Like with this?
Comey, Trump.
For the 2016 election.
I'm talking about Trump. Trump said that. I don't need James Comey. Trump said, Russia, if you're listening.
Yeah, I remember that. Does anyone remember like the TLDR details about that? Let me know in the chat, please.
You don't remember that moment?
I mean,
you don't remember that?
I don't particularly remember that moment, but I'm talking about large technology companies in this last election.
Okay.
I just think if we don't learn from that, Bill, we're destined to make the same mistakes again. But here's what I'll say.
I don't
That's an
believe
example
you
of
that,
what you'll call lack of wisdom.
Okay,
Ezekiel says, if Vivek spoke what he really knows and said what actually was proven, he'd be in some heat. So Vivek is smart by holding back on that. Vivek knows the truth, but can't outright say it. Interesting. So this is more of a tactic of understanding. Remember when we talk about if you're debating that you're probably not going to change the other person's mind. You're speaking to the audience. So he is now, according to Ezekiel, Ezekiel saying that Vivek is being smart by not trying to die on a hill that he's not going to win over the audience. Interesting take. I love that. Zippy says, I think Bill is taking a Trump joke as the real thing. That's what TDS basically is. Unwanted Foe said, why do people still take Trump's joke seriously still? Yep. TDS.
And we can agree to disagree on that.
you're running as like, I'm not the bullshitter guy like the other guys. And then you just told me you don't remember when Trump said, Russia,
I actually don't, but
it was a giant
So pull it up then. Pull it up. You both have phones. You were in a studio. Pull it up and watch it.
moment that's been replayed a zillion times.
Back when I was in business and
you're, oh really? You were that tuned out from politics?
I mean, what Trump was saying on a given day in 2016.
Not a given day.
Really.
That was replayed a zillion times because he was impeached over this.
I think
well, that was bullshit because he wasn't removed. And notice how Bill is harping on this. He could very easily, like I said, the phone is sitting right here. He could very easily just pull it up. Oh, you don't remember this? You're like, oh yeah. I don't remember the exact phrasing, but yeah, I remember that. And let's continue talking about that. But I gotcha. I'm winning. How do you not remember it? Okay, that's one of the biggest things. I mean, come on, bro. It's so performative and it's so transparent. Anybody who is not already on Bill's team can see exactly what's happening here. It's pathetic.
The impeachment, though, I can talk about. I mean, the impeachment was on a flawed basis. I mean, that's a hard reason we now understand. But here's the problem right now. We are still spending, and this is why I'm in this race. We have spent literally 7 years now relitigating and rehashing that series of events that whatever they are is not going to change.
Well, yes,
and I think that's what's wrong with this election right now as well.
Well, that's the nature of justice. When people commit crimes, if they're not punished for it, then they tend to commit the crimes again. So the fact that
I think still true, which is why maybe all of these democratic policies in San Francisco and New York City are not good. Why are you supporting those, bro?
Talking about it. Yes, he's got
I think these indictments are deeply politicized. I think they're a bad idea for the future of the country.
Well, let's just talk about the one that matters, the one where he tried to overthrow the United States government. You don't think that
you're talking about the third one from Jack Smith?
I'm talking about
Jack Smith indictment.
Absolutely.
So I believe that I would have made very.
So let's pay attention here, because this is the type of answer that giving, exactly what Ezekiel was just talking about. If he says exactly what he's thinking, exactly the way he thinks it, then it's just going to be thrown out into a conspiracy theory land. So this is going to be very interesting on how he handles this exact question. Ezekiel says, right, I'm sure there's a reason Vivek is chilling and sitting back more. He knows Bill is full of ish. I agree with him too. We need someone young, unless it's Trump. We need someone in their 30s. And what do you know? That's Vivek. All right, so I'm going to back this up a little, guys, and I want you to pay attention to how he answers the question. It doesn't really matter what the answer is as much as how he answers the question. Remember, he is talking to us, the audience. He's not talking to Bill. So let's run this back.
I think they're a bad idea for the future.
Well, let's just talk about the one that matters, the one where he tried to overthrow the United States government. You don't think that?
You're talking about the third one from Jack Smith.
I'm talking about
the Jack Smith indictment.
Absolutely.
So I believe that I would have made very different judgments than Trump made that day. But Trump expressing his view on the outcome of the election, even knowingly telling a lie, is not unconstitutional.
Great.
It's not a legal violation.
So
Alvarez, the case which 2012,
but he didn't just
famously said politicians can have a First Amendment right to lie. And Jack Smith's indictment acknowledges that, which is the interesting part about this.
Okay. But this is not what we're talking about. We're talking about things like putting up fake electors. That's not just words. They did that. A slate of fake electors. We're talking about a guy on tape saying, this is the one that came down the other day about Georgia, a guy on tape saying, I need you to find me 11,780 more votes.
This is what they hang on. This is what they hang on. The phrasing of a man that they know phrases things in a weird way. Find me the votes does not mean make them up. It means if I lost my phone and I said, find me my phone, it doesn't mean that I don't have a phone. It means that I don't know where it is and I would like to have it. This is all you have, Bill? This is all you have? Come on. Zippy said, what about Hillary selling secrets to and destroying her records, which has more teeth? Yep. But Trump isn't allowed to lie for reasons. Ezekiel said, things are changing and old people can't relate. We need someone young in their 30s or 40s at the highest. A president that won't fall asleep in Hawaii who's too old, like Biden just did. Yeah, if you guys didn't see that. And then I saw something I added to my playlist. I didn't get to see it yet, but it was I'm assuming either CNN or MSNBC was trying to say that he was bowing his head in a solemn thing or whatever. It's like, bro, he was sleeping. He was out. And it wasn't just like a quick nod out. And that was the key. The waking up. Because if you're bowing your head and maybe you're being solemn and you're thinking, I really should have come here last week and I really feel bad and I hope they forgive me and I hope they accept. That's one thing. But when your head is down, that means you were sleeping. Come on.
Now, that alone, if I just had that, wouldn't that be a case? I need you to find
my phone.
Me, he's saying
and they didn't do it, right?
But I tried to rob a bank the other day and I didn't get the money.
What law? I mean, here's where I'm at. Not every bad judgment or every bad act is a crime.
Oh my God.
What law did that violate?
He's the president.
What law did that violate?
Probably the oath of office that he took when he would defend the United States.
That's not I mean, George Bush violated the oath of office.
What is more
when he sent troops to Iraq? This is why we vote people out. That's how elections work.
I know, but
So I know, but I want my thing to be what we're saying.
That's the fundamental difference in how we do things in the United States, where you're taking deeply held judgments that you disagree with. Great, go to the ballot box and vote. That's how we do things in the United States of America.
Which is exactly what he's on trial for. One of the counts is
I think it's
cheating people out of their vote.
The question is, what's best for the country at this point in time?
Well,
and I do not think that in the middle of an election.
Well, the first thing we can decide. I agree with you that
look at the timing of this indictment.
I agree with you that it may prove that we may look back on this and say because
it was the start of a civil war. Yeah, we probably will. Doodad says Joe Biden would rather fall asleep than protect America. What a loser.
Indictments only make Trump stronger. He's like a rapper. The more times he gets arrested, the more street cred he has. And I think, the idea that Republicans...
That's not even that wrong. The more times that the deep state comes after him and just demonstrates that they are not acting in good faith, the more credit that gives to Trump. So, who said broken clock right twice a day? Bill, that's your first one. TDS on full blast. Yep. Like I said, he's not taking in new information, not regarding Trump, as crazy as he did, but that I don't even know what you call it. The earwig is in his brain, and Trump, orange man, orange man. It's so crazy how far down the rabbit hole people can get.
Don't like him because they love that the porn stars, they love that he was fucking porn. They love to be fucking porn stars, Republicans, gay porn stars, but still.
I think, Bill, to really
that's homophobic, Bill.
Understand what's going on in the country. We have, first of all, right now, on one hand, the son of a U.S. president collecting multi-million-dollar bribes from foreign countries that president is now arguably making good on in different ways.
Oh, gosh.
And on the other hand, we have
yes, I mean, that's
a former president of the United States that currently, by the way, it would be a lot easier for me if Trump were eliminated, by the way. And some of the recent polls this week, I'm in second. Polling averages, I'm in third. It would be a lot easier for me if Trump were out of the way.
It would be exponential. Like, you cannot win when Trump is in the way. So it would be in all of your power, but obviously, rhetorically, it wouldn't look good for you to be like, yeah, get rid of him. So we all know that Vivek wants Trump to be out of the race, but for his own personal gain. But I think more than that, he is honest about saying that he wants what's best for the country right now. Excuse me. Yeah, I got you.
I don't want to win this election by seeing a political opponent eliminated by the federal police state. I think that is a disastrous precedent
unless he committed crimes that police Bill, should be apprehending him for.
So let's get
okay, so then let's go after Biden. Okay, then let's go after Bush. Okay, then let's go after Obama. Okay, then let's go on every president that's still alive. They have all committed crimes. So unless you have some specific reason, something that was most egregious to set this precedent that during an election season, we are going to arrest and indict and put behind bars somebody that is running, then your argument doesn't hold water. Why was this never the case? Why all of a sudden any crime that the president commits? I agree that we should be holding these people accountable, but not just when it's convenient for you.
If you want to get into the details on this, let's get into the details. Let's talk about the Espionage Act, which he's being charged with. That is the most un-American law in our history. It's been used to lock up anti-war activists.
Okay, I'm not sure that is what he's being tried under.
For the second indictment, it is the Espionage Act that he's charged under for the documents case.
This is what I do, okay? You think I wouldn't know that?
Taking the documents.
The documents. Okay, you switched the cards there.
With so many indictments. There's 4 of them at the exact same time. What's going on? It's not about the
yeah, exactly. There's so many. So, if somebody gets accused of something, they must be guilty, right? That's how America works. Zibby says, oppressing the political opposition is bad. Go after all or go after none without a landslide of evidence.
Bingo.
100% agree. I mean, this is such a reasonable position. But because there are actual crimes, then the people are just willing to say, yeah, it's convenient. Let's start doing this now. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. Dad says another mistake that Joe Biden did was withdraw the troops from Afghanistan. My father fought in that war for nothing because of Joe. So I mean, obviously it was more Bush as to why we got in there. Joe was really, the I don't even know what you call it, the shit show that was leaving. But I definitely agree. It was the word. I mean, what a way to start your presidency. And yeah, leaving all the high-tech stuff there, not to mention the American citizens. Daniel says, look, I couldn't be bothered to read the 8 pages of the Don't Say Gay bill. I'm not reading that one charge. Pretty much. Zuby said, presidents can have documents. VP, not so much. So why isn't Biden in jail? Because I like him. So we only arrest the people I don't like. Duh. He says, Afghanistan was a mess and always will be a mess. I certainly, there's nothing that we can do. They might figure their shit out, But us arming one side of a conflict like that, not helping. Not helping. But now let's just go over and do it in another part of the world.
If it was up
It's
to
about
me,
eliminating the man.
I wish they hadn't brought the Stormy Daniels one.
mean, is it the
I
same?
wish they hadn't even brought the. I mean, he's guilty of all these things, of course. I
Well,
wouldn't
let's just
have.
stop
I
with the
wouldn't
Stormy
have
Daniel
brought
ones.
the documents one.
He's not guilty of anything in the Stormy Daniel ones. You want to know why? You're a smart guy. Let me just explain
Okay,
this.
I don't care about that
Bill,
one. I never
I
cared
know you don't care about that
that.
one, but it relates to the ones that followed because it's evidence that there's something else going on here. So you will agree with me on this one, okay? He says he's guilty of it. Well, let me just test you on this for a second, see how you feel. They said that the crime there was that he should have used campaign funds to pay hush money to the porn star.
What?
You know what? If he had used campain funds to pay
That
hush
sounds
money,
illegal.
that actually would have been more of a crime.
Yeah, that sounds way more illegal. Yep, we all know that one. We all know that one.
With
Then
you on
not
this
doing
one.
it, right?
I did a whole
But
thing
if
on
you
this.
have four of- okay, so I
I'm
missed that.
pre
I'm
with.
sorry.
I'm pre with.
You're
you.
pre with me on it, so I don't need to preach to
So,
the choir on it.
Right, no, exactly.
But the point is, if there's four of these separate things coming right,
Right.
at the same time,
Mhm.
smack dab in the middle of an election,
because
Sus. Just can we admit that it's sus?
it happened. It's like they made it up.
but
It happened 2 years ago.
Bill, I just told you they made this one
He
up.
tried.
They literally made this
He
one up.
tried. They certainly
made
did.
this
They
one up.
certainly did not
They
make
didn't.
up. Excuse me. They certainly
Excuse me, they did.
did not make up the idea that he tried every single possible way to steal that election. He tried it.
I was talking about the first one.
He
Though. They
tried
made
it
that was literally made
he
up indictment.
Well, I'm talking about the one that's important, and you know what's important. He tried it through pressuring Mike Pence, who was doing something in a very ceremonial role to pretend that he could change the vote. The fake electors. He pressured the secretaries of state and the legislatures. They talked about bringing out the military. They talked about seizing voting machines. This country has done one thing that was more amazing than any other. They've done many amazing things, but to me, the jewel in our crown, the peaceful transference of power. So many countries cannot get this right.
Yeah.
Oh, so you mean like when in 2016 they were all saying that they shouldn't have the peaceful transference of power because it was Trump. It's just the double standards never end. You can list them, go down the list, every single thing that they say. There is something on the other side, and well, that's a whataboutism. Semantic obfuscation.
Yes.
We were one of the few who could get it right. And one guy, your boyfriend, Donald Trump,
Oh, come on.
broke this and
Come on.
fucked
Don't
it.
give me the
That's
boyfriend
exactly
stuff. Come
what-
on. Come on. I'm running against him in this race. Okay.
I think
I'm
you're
saying
running
this-
to be his vice president.
Well, I'm glad you smoked that view out. I've already said, and I'll say it again.
Oh! He's like, well, I'm glad you smoked that out. As if everybody didn't know that the consolation prize for running for president and not winning is being the VP. Shout out to Vivek. I mean, I love this dude. I love this dude. Unwanted Fellow said, and the Clintons have an uncanny ability to give their former friends and employees this severe depression to the point that they control, alt, delete themselves. Yep. Remember how upset Anthony Weiner got when PBD was just talking about the client kill list? He's like, come on, no, where is this? Like, hey, man, if it's crazy, just tell us it's crazy. We're just reading some names here. That's all.
Again, I'm not going to work for any
So
administration.
you would say no to his,
Yeah, I would say no.
you would say no to the vice presidency if
Yeah.
Donald Trump offered it to you?
I don't do well in a number 2 role.
Do we? I want to make that a poll. Do you guys believe that? Do you think Vivek would accept VP? Obviously, he can't say that right now. Because he's running for the president. But what you think? Let me know. Replay gang in the comments below. Do you think Vivek Ramaswamy would accept the VP position if he does not win?
I just don't.
To start, you're 38.
I don't do well in I haven't been a number 2 role in a long time. I think there's a lot of ways to change this country.
Wow.
And each person has to look in the mirror and ask themselves, how do you have the maximal impact you can? So I do it through the private sector. I've written 3 books in the last 2 years. I start businesses. That's what I would do.
only go right to the top, or
Well, to me, it's not a hierarchy. It's not about a top.
well, it
It's
is.
about
You're
where am I
saying
going to have the most impact?
You will
is the question.
literally not be the second most powerful person in the world.
If power were my currency and probability adjusting my power calculus,
Oh, nice.
yeah, of course you would take it.
Nice.
But if the question is actually how am I using my God-given talents to have a maximal positive impact on a country that has given me so much, being in that vice president role wouldn't be it.
I mean, that's the
that's
part
just-
I love about you. You know, it's like, I agree.
Maybe Secretary of State. Yeah, I don't think that he would. That's a good line. I'm not a number 2 guy. That's definitely a good line in terms of saying, no, I'm going all the way. I'm running for president. Don't even, think of me as, well, maybe, consolation prize. But yeah, I think that any type of high level cabinet position would be great for him and for all of us. I do think that because of the MAGA base, that Trump being president again is going to be the best thing, and then we get 8 years of Vivek starting in 2028. That is the ideal scenario. Is it going to play out? Hopefully, but I don't know. Doodad Attack says the terrorists said they are happy that America left and it should have never happened. Well, maybe if you guys didn't throw a plane into the World Trade Center, that would have never happened. Okay. Say hi to your mom for me. I didn't mean to hit that button, but say hi to your mom for me. Zippy says all paid by the CIA. They created the terrorists that fought us. Yep, all of that was from the previous Middle Eastern conflict. Wanted Foe said, I think Vivek needs the 4 years as VP. It overcomes his last hurdle needed since he has no government experience. And I agree with you. I think that whether it's VP or Secretary of State or it's something else, I definitely think he needs a political position. He needs a cabinet position. He needs something because that's what a lot of people are banking on as their reason why he's not good. He has no experience. But, he just gave a great point about, all these people that have great resumes in terms of, politics. Biden has a great resume. He's been in politics for 50, 60 years. But is that good for America? I don't know. I think if you spread that message, people will be down for it. Doodad said, yep, the CIA paid to cover up the trillions lost the day before September 11th. Yep. I don't remember the exact details about that, but I do remember reading about that.
And I find it just heartening when I see somebody who, your parents weren't even born in this country, right?
No.
I mean, this is,
with no money to this
Obama.
country.
I said shit. Me too. Shout out to all the first generation Americans out there. I don't have anything else to say, but shout out to you.
I'll say something. You'll probably agree with this. Obama, when he ran, and when he was in office, sounded more like your rival from South Carolina, Tim Scott.
Yeah, he did a little bit actually.
Well, I mean, it was more
aspirational.
Aspirational
Yes.
and not.
Tim Scott. Is that the guy who was running to be Hillary's VP? Tim Scott. Or who am I thinking of?
Not discounting racism, but not making it the number one thing and everything is about that.
Yes.
That was Obama, and that seems like Tim Scott today.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of similarities in that sense between the two.
I don't know that I agree with the notion that Obama was making things not about race. Again, I wasn't really paying that close attention to politics at the time. But from what I understand, that's when all this shit kicked up and really, really, really started was a reaction to the the more subtle anti-racist type stuff than what we see today. Obama's policies crawled so the leftists of today could run.
With them, absolutely aspirational for the country. My view is the American dream is. Here's where I'm a little different than Tim Scott.
His big line was, "My story is not possible in any other country." Obama used to say that.
That was
remember
his line.
that one?
I do remember that one.
Okay, that
and
one
it stuck with me.
All right. So I mean,
and I think there's a deep truth to that. He doesn't say that anymore. Interestingly,
that's what I'm saying.
He changed it.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What are you saying? That's what Vivek just said. You said he said it. Vivek says, nah, but he doesn't say that anymore. And then you said, that's what I'm saying. That's not what you're saying. That's the opposite of what you're saying.
When people say, Bill, you've gotten more conservative, I'm saying, no, they changed.
Who is saying that Bill Maher got more conservative? Maybe. Oh, I guess. Okay, I get it. I get it. It just if you go from TDS to regular deranged leftist, then that's, I guess, more conservative. That makes sense. Doodad says, speaking of the anti-racism thing, the 2020 riots were totally peaceful protests. It was the summer of love, guys. What do you mean? There was fiery. Oh, but mostly peaceful. Mostly peaceful. Zippy says, half of the black people I know did not like Obama. He was too fake of a real person. And too fake of a real person. What does that mean? But such is a walking suit lawyer.
What?
Amanda says, I didn't think it at the time, but I see the race stuff now. Yeah, it was well hidden, and it was this. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if it wasn't the under Obama, it was in that time period that this seemingly grassroots movement of there's systemic racism. We've solved the overt racism for the most part, even though there's still racist people out there. But now we have to dismantle the system. That's where all that stuff came from. It was the Occupy Wall Street movement that got derailed from, hey, the banks and the establishment and the government is doing all this, to, oh, the white people are doing all this. It was all under Obama. Was it not? Again, I'm genuinely asking. I might be wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure it was all under Obama.
I love that.
You're allowed to change too. You're a human being.
I am, and I do. I always change with new
Yeah.
information, and sometimes I have to. But basically, I've just been working on a book of all our old editorials, so I read every one going back to 2003, and it was a great way to discover archaeology-wise myself. And I'm like,
I love that.
And
Oh, we got a swing in the poll. If you have not already, please hit. Do you think Vivek would accept the VP position? Yes or no? Replay gang, let me know in the comments below. Zippy says, too fake of a person. Not that he was acting too white. A walking suit is a. Oh, okay. So he was the first. Oh, as Joe Biden says, the first. What is it? Well-spoken, clean black person or something like that. That was Biden's words about big boy Obama. Doodad says, just because the brutal killing of George Floyd doesn't mean all police are bad. Also, after that brutal killing, we should totally defund the police because we want total anarchy.
What?
How do you attack this? How do you attack this? It's so far down that rabbit hole that there's so much unraveling to do that this is why we have to get into the weeds with this stuff, because this is a whole ideology that people hold with them. And it just doesn't make sense, but they have crafted it in a way that it seems to make sense as long as you don't look too far into it. Yeah, that's when all that stuff started. The systemic racism. And no, I mean, that's not when it started, but that's when it kind of became more ubiquitous. Unwanted Foe said that's also when BLM really kicked off. Anti-cop hate added fuel to the fire as well. Yep. Yeah, that's the systemic racism. You are racist based on how you look. You benefit on whether or not you pass. Yep, that's equality, right? Shout out to Nick. Welcome to the party, brother. Good to see ya. Zippy says lawyers speak in serpentine ways, speaking a lot about nothing. Good one. Good one. That's serpentile. Serpentile, same thing. You know what I mean?
I loved it too. And the first 10, 15 years of real time, it was much more one-sided, making fun of the Republicans because the left gave me nothing. Obama was a disaster for comedians. He was perfect in every possible way. I mean,
was he though? Of course not. Come on, you simping mother.
there was nothing you could, and
You're
that's
not basically that different, but I see where you're coming
well,
from.
it
I see where you're
drove the
coming
Republicans nuts.
From a
I mean,
left-wing
his
perspective, I understand
his
where you're coming
personal life, the fact that no corruption, and they were looking for it. The fact that Obamacare was paid for, things Republicans used to care about, paying for things. Their big program was, now it's just anybody writes a check for anything, both sides. The Republicans are just the hypocrites because they pretend that they're the fiscally
Well, the way I look at it, that's
responsible.
why I don't talk about Republicans and Democrats. Like I said, I think they're
But you're
far
running as a-
more
right.
on the same party than they are not.
But
We live
if
in two
you-
parties.
And completely agree with Amanda here. CRT, or the praxis of CRT, is the whole thing of not if racism happened, but where did it happen? It's an assumption. It's a claim that there is racism there, and if you can't find it, you're the racist for not looking on it. An assumption based on an ideology.
Bingo.
Yep.
Systems you got to use ballot access to get on a ballot.
And that's your team. You can't alienate them. You're going to have to. I know you only want to be number one.
I want to unite the entire country. I want to unite the entire country. And I think there's
Well,
two
you
theories.
can't.
Well, Bill,
Well, you can't. Well, okay, all right. Well, Bill Maher said I can't unite the country, so I'm giving up now. Bye. What does that add to a conversation? What does that add to anything? And again, if you want to say you can't because, and have that conversation, have a tough conversation with him, I'm all here for it. I want to hear why you think that he can't. Well, you can't. Okay.
I'm hopeful that we can. I think but I share your
such a dick. He's such a fucking dick.
That one, bro.
Yeah, but here's what I would say is like 20 years from now, I don't think we can. I think we're in a window where we have a shot at getting this done, on actually not celebrating our diversity, but actually finding a common thread that all of us still share as Americans.
Like that American identity that I always talk about, and was on the Timcast member segment. I was able to directly ask Tim about my idea. I am going to be putting that video up tomorrow, so definitely look out for it. Yeah, definitely being a doomer. Doodad Attack says, speaking of the law system, the years you spent in jail are shrinking because of the lawyering system. The lawyering system, or you mean like lawyers, or the like law enforcement system in general? Unwinds and Follow said, if this was someone's first time watching Bill Maher, they wouldn't be able to guess it's his job to interview people. They'd be like, who is this dude? What is he doing here? Why is Vivek wasting his time here? Little do we know that there are almost 1 million people that watch this. Zippy says to do that. No, more like the tech has gotten better, and the bullet rifling and DNA has lost its power. Fair enough.
I think it exists.
Can I give you some campaign advice?
Yeah.
You're such a personable guy. You're so smart, and the energy is amazing. But unless you soften on Trump, at least half the country.
What do you mean soften on Trump? He's been soft on Trump.
That knows that he's an obnoxious criminal, they're never going to accept you as the guy who can unite us. I can't accept you as that.
Take like a Chris
And I'm
Christie
somebody
figure who's in this.
I'm
versus
somebody
me.
who is like,
It's in a different place. I'm not motivated by vengeance and grievance.
do you know how much shit I get from the left? A lot.
I know you do.
Yes,
I know you do.
Because
that's why I'm here.
Oh, poor baby got some offense to the blank. Oh, did they hurt your feelings?
respect you.
Thank you.
Because you can
And I
actually
respect-
speak to, in some ways, your own tribe.
It's like my
Right.
thing is, if you expect me to get on the crazy train with you,
Mhm.
and if I don't, then I lose my liberal card. Fuck you. You're changing what liberalism, not me.
Whoa. We need to write that back. Run that back. Is he saying that the cultural right is changing what liberalism is? Or is he saying his own side? I missed that.
Me to get on the crazy train with you.
Mhm.
And if I don't, then I lose my liberal card. Fuck you. You're changing what liberalism, not me. So, I'm a guy who could be your biggest supporter.
Okay, so I think he's saying that the leftists and the woke are changing what liberalism is. Fair enough.
Kind of guy, right? Because I understand your critiques of the left, and a lot of them are valid, not all of them. But that is a albatross around your neck. The inability to call Trump, and just the most fundamental thing about America, once again, not to beat a dead horse, but the peaceful transference of power. One guy said, finally, no, I'm just not going to say it. There is no possible scenario. You should read the transcript of what he was saying to the person in Ratzenberger in Georgia, the one he's just on trial for now.
So let me get this straight. You're saying that you have to be softer on Trump, but that Trump was so horrible to do this And that somehow is going to do what? I don't. You just said a lot of words without saying anything at all. He says, "You see, Bill, if I call out Trump, I have to call out Biden." There you go. There you go. Amanda says, "As lefty as that." Wait, what? As lefty as lefty. As a lefty that is lesbo and doesn't take girl dick, I feel his pain. All right, sorry, it took me a minute, but there we go.
Now we know about the I need you to find 11,000 votes line. The one that I found,
Yeah, the ones that are already there. Just like I need you to find my phone.
So chilling. At the beginning, he says right away, he said, if you saw the lines, I just saw the lines of the people waiting to see me, and there's no possible way I could have lost Georgia. This is a guy who thinks he couldn't lose the state because the lines at his event. This is like me saying, I'm going to be at the MGM Grand September 16th and 17th. That's true. And like I could go outside after the show and I saw the lines to see my show. And there's no way I'm not the biggest act in Las Vegas.
This is, again, an inability to understand the way that Trump speaks. He is a hyperbolic person. He jokes a lot. He says the biggest and the best about everything. You can get mad at it every single time, or you can just understand that's the way he talks. That's just the way he talks.
Bill, can I just make an observation?
Crazy.
Can I make an
he's
observation?
Stupid and crazy.
Unlike you, right, Bill? Unlike you.
I got to make an observation here.
Got to decouple.
Well,
from Donald Trump. That's the path.
I am running as my own man in this race to lead us to something. And here's the thing, and this is not specific to Trump, but everyone in this race running is included in this when I say this. The Republican Party for a long time has been a party that has been running from something. Okay, here are all the evil things and we're running from them. I think I am the only person in this race who is actually trying to lead us to something. To an actual vision of what it means to be an American. You are a thoughtful man. Okay, I am here because you are not shackled by some party's orthodoxy.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Zippy, let's not attack cannabis, all right? He is just this dumb and crazy all the time. He just smoked one little joint, too. Come on. I mean, that's just him. But let's not blame the cannabis. Cannabis is amazing. Bill Maher is not. Amanda says, I take phobic as a compliment, my sweet. Well, then you definitely are transphobic, homophobic. What else can we throw on there? Racist phobic?
Plainly.
Or and anything. And I'm glad that we've done it twice over the last few years, and you've read some of my books, and I've read a lot of your work, and there's so much that we could be delving into. This question of, is there a role for the village elder or not? Interesting. Is there a common thread that unites this country or not? I mean, I think that's the most important question of our time. There's room for debate on it. You could just say we're a bunch of two-legged higher mammals with different shades of melanin walk in this geographic space and do what our iPhones tell us to do on a given day. Is that the country, or is there some set of still remaining ideals that bind us together? That is the conversation that I think we need to have in this country. And yet I'm worried the same thing is going to happen next week on the Republican debate stage that's happening right here, is we are suffering a form of derangement about the recent past that at some point we are all going to have to say we lay down arms and ask ourselves, do we actually want to move forward, or do we actually just want a national divorce?
Yeah. That's a good question. And I mean, I would love to be able to bridge that gap and to move forward as a union. But it seems like people like Bill have already accepted that they are not willing to lay down arms. They are not willing to compromise. They are not willing to come to the table with anything that can fix this country. We're right. And if you don't agree with us, then we're getting a divorce. All right. If that's the way you want it.
And that
do you want the divorce to just be done with it and go home and call it a ball game?
That sounds more like Obama. That was Obama.
What?
Let's move forward. Yes.
I don't want to sort of take, and I deeply disagree with Obama or any things, but I know you mean that in a good way, but let us move forward as one nation. And that's the challenge. We live in a more challenging time than we did even in 2008. And so let me just ask you, do you believe, Bill, that there is Like there exists. I have friends who would give me the answer to this question. The answer they would give is no, and that we need to get a national divorce and move on with it. I have friends both on the right and the left who say this, which is saddening to me.
This talk has to stop.
It is saddening to me.
Right. No,
deeply saddening.
We agree on that.
And so then what is that common thread that unites us?
That's a good question. I'm going to put that up as a poll. So should we get a national divorce? Yes or no? Replay gang in the comments. Should we get a national divorce? Yes or no?
What is it? We think it exists. Let's talk about it. Meritocracy, the thing that my parents came here to pursue.
But that doesn't unite us anymore.
And that is why we need to build it into this American identity. We need a new American identity that works for everybody. Christians, leftists, atheists, Hindus, everyone. We can all be about America. We can all be about community. We can all be about family. We can all be about gratitude. We can all be about capitalism. And it doesn't need to conflict with your religious beliefs. Where's the issue?
Unites most people, but if you're viewing this country through the prism of a TV screen or social media algorithm,
but the people
then
who
it
watch,
looks like we don't.
The people who watch MSNBC,
which aren't very many, which is a good thing.
Okay, actually. But they vote and they.
But this is an important point. Okay. That's my whole point. Is it's a sliver of the population that creates the image of an artificial division that I think is mostly artificial.
But
I really do.
But we have to admit that this is what you're always railing against. Yeah. That is a powerful faction in this country.
You'll probably lose more. At least for our lifetime. Like a national divorce eventually would probably be better for the kids that Generation Alpha is going to have. They would probably be in a better world than we are today. But between now and then, it's going to be hellfire. It's not going to be fun. Name a revolution that has been fun.
I'm kind of done railing against it.
And you can't.
I'm in a different phase than when we first met.
Okay.
Because we had to see the problem and we did.
Okay.
Now, what are we running to?
Okay.
That's where I'm at.
Those folks, you're assuming, I'm making a point of this because I think it's important. You're assuming that this is going to unite us. Meritocracy. Yes, there was a time when everyone believed in meritocracy.
Yeah. So let's make America great again. Shout out to MJ. Welcome to the party. Said maybe we need to live in some hellfire. Nothing good was ever easy. I mean, that's what a lot of people think, and it's hard to disagree at points, but I don't know. It's tough. Do we really want to go through that? I mean, I don't know. I don't have the answers, but there is a good argument on either side. But welcome to the party, MJ. Good to see you. The sexual revolution, that doesn't count. That was some feminist bullshit. I mean, like an actual revolution. Dad said Gen Z is a mess, and general, get it? Good one. Yeah, I mean, for a while, I had a lot of hope in Gen Z to maybe, I was saying, like, I think Gen Z at 30 years old is going to be better than us millennials were at 30 years old. But when you throw in the COVID stuff and then all this gender stuff, I don't think so. So I am, white-pilled as to Generation Alpha to see that just like we are young now and we see the boomers and what they've done, we would look at Gen X, but they didn't do anything. And so the boomers kept power. So we look up at the boomers and we say, we don't want to be like that. In the same way, Generation Alpha is going to look up at the Zoomers and look up at the millennials, be like, we don't want to be like that. And hopefully, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that by then, I might still be alive to see an America that I'm more proud of than today. Yep, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Well said. Daniel Cabrera says, the only revolution I know of that could be considered fun was one in Footloose. Another movie I didn't see. MJ said your first though thought was correct, unless you mean something I don't understand about tossing in the air. I guess you guys are talking to yourself. I don't know what that means.
As the most important thing, But now the other side, those
Meritocracy.
people watching that network believe in something called equity. I'm sure it's in your book. And there are definitions of equity, which of course you would understand. Yes, absolutely, we should strive for that. And then there is a form of
Yes, you are correct, Zippy.
equity
Yes.
that
Boo
rubs
equity.
right up
Boo
against meritocracy.
equity.
I mean, this is colleges getting rid of,
Affirmative action.
well, no, exams.
Oh, exams. Oh, you're saying the
You
other
know,
direction.
In the
Yes,
other
I'm
direction,
saying it's not about merit.
So-
we don't
so-
care what your score is.
So I
And
think
that-
you're smoking out a good point. Group outcome equality, group outcome equity, and meritocracy are fundamentally incompatible.
they are at odds.
They're
Yes.
You cannot have true equality of opportunity. You cannot have a society where everybody has the same fair chance if you have a society where everybody ends up in the same place. It's just fundamentally mutually exclusive.
I would say if you take both of them seriously to their natural limit, they're
Well,
incompatible.
that doesn't
with each
mean
other.
you can't have a mixture of two things, maybe not 50-50, but I mean, there do needs to be
But the
redress.
point I was going to make for you is, from my perspective, is
Zaddy and Batty. Judad says Gen Z is like, well, actually, there's 75 genders, and my pronouns are Zaddy and Batty. Like, you can say my pronouns are the coolest man in the world and the coolest men in the world, and no one would call you that. It's a bastardization of English. It's a bastardization of language in general. And when you think about just human history, that language was the greatest invention throughout all of humanity. Before that, we had no way to communicate. And once we were able to communicate, then we're able to work together and build the civilization that we have now. So to live in a way that is upfront to language in general, I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. Equity is communism.
most people share one vision of that in this country. Enough people share. I think it's 50-50. I think it's easily 80-20 in the direction of people who believe in actual free speech, believe in meritocracy, believe in self-governance, right? The idea that at least Congress should make the laws and not three-letter agencies in Washington, D.C. I think most people believe that that's a good thing. That's what our founding fathers believed. I think, we may disagree on what the laws that Congress should make, but we agree that Congress should be the one making them.
When you put it vaguely like that, a poll of people would say, yes, we agree with
Like
that.
an overwhelming majority.
But then when you got to the specifics of threatening agencies,
shutting down an FBI.
or something like that.
So
And look,
actually,
and you know what? I'll give you that one. Not that I think we should necessarily do it.
I'm keeping
but
15,000 of the 35,000.
Your
right?
FBI idea is not as crazy as I thought.
I see some wrenches that are not being used.
Okay. That's a win.
Can I give you the Department of Education
And
for you too?
also the fact about 20,000 of them
Yeah.
work in that one building in DC, I didn't know that. See, when I get new information, I do. I process it and I might change my mind.
You might, but you probably won't unless it goes to your political ends. Zubi said, anyone listen to Old English stuff? It's a completely different language. It's a completely different language. It's amazing how languages evolve. It is. It absolutely is. But languages have to evolve organically. When you try to force the change, that is the bastardization. Because just like humans evolve, animals evolve. When you try to, scientifically get in there and it fucks up nature. That's not the way it's supposed to be done. And bad things can happen from it. Dad says, in my opinion, I think there are only two genders. Agreed. We don't need some 13-year-old making a new gender and calling it mind sexual. Like, bruh, how is that even a gender? It's not. It's not at all. Wonderful said there's only two things that Bill remembers from all Vivek said. They're not even really important points because he's not listening. He doesn't care. He's just looking for opportunities to get sound bites so that on his shorts page, on his Instagram, on his TikTok, it can boom, 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 and Bill looks good. That is the world that we live in. People aren't like this channel. We look to understand context. We look to have extended conversations. We look to understand things as best we can. But that's not the world that we live in, and that's not what Bill is trying to do. He is trying to enrich himself with this conversation. Amanda says my degree is in medieval studies around literature and history. Ask me about trebuchets. All right, tell me about trebuchets.
I don't think I'm all the way to let's get rid of the FBI.
Well, I would say
but a streamlining certainly
let
seems.
me
Well, maybe if you listen, Bill, then he can explain to you why it's a fantastic idea.
in order.
Let me just if I said let's reorganize the FBI to put generalist agents into specialized functions in other bureaus in the federal government.
Right.
I think you would respond well to
All
that.
right.
That's effectively what my proposal
So
is.
do you talk about something like that in Iowa?
I talked about it in New Hampshire. I was at St. Anselm College. First time this ever happened. The prosecutor will unveil like a giant poster board. You've seen these things. So what we did is we took giant poster boards explaining, like literally boxes, moving them around for the FBI, the Department of Education, and then the Nuclear Regulatory Commission is one that I did as well.
Really quick, I just want to address that I'm very happy with our poll here. Should we get a national divorce? 62% of you say no. And I think that's a good thing. I think that, if it comes to that, then we want to be prepared for what that entails. But we're far enough away that we don't need to be going to that option just yet. We just need to listen to each other. We need to talk to each other. That's all.
I mean, this is an agency whose culture is fundamentally hostile to the existence of nuclear energy in the United States of America. It used to be 3 to 4 years to build a new nuclear power plant in the United States. You know what it is now? 25 to 40 years.
I talk about this all the time.
You do? Okay.
Well, about like the fact that nothing gets done in this country because these just obscene levels of graft, and bureaucracy, red tape. We can't build home housing for the homeless.
Totally right, though, because
we
bureaucracy stops new housing construction. It is the chokehold in our country. So the premise of I have two premises.
If you could get through
I'm
that.
the anti-bureaucracy candidate. 70, but you can't be scared when I say things like, I want to fire 75% of the federal employee headcount.
Let's go. 75%. And Bill is scared. He's scared.
I just do. Most organizations.
I mean,
think of your organization.
Government.
90% of the people, 25% of the people do 90% of the work.
No,
That's the answer.
No, my operation is lean.
Okay, fine. It's not the federal
They're
government.
all good.
In the federal government, 25% of the people do 90% of the work.
Because
exactly. That's the difference between the private sector and the government. That, maybe when you have a fiduciary responsibility, then you run a lean show. But when you just have blank checks, just do whatever you want, then 90% of the people likely are going to be superfluous. What are y'all talking about here? Man says, what you gotta, is that like or YA? What you gotta to throw at the attacking force is the rule of trebuchets. What? Shout out to Damien. Welcome to the party. So just when you thought Bill wasn't a TDS deranged left-wing bitch. And that's pretty much what I was saying, is that at the beginning of this, that, he definitely went through a terrible, horrible bout of TDS. And it seemed like over the last year or two, he was kind of coming out of it. But it seems that as Trump becomes more and more irrelevant, he's falling right back into it. He's not going to be the only one, guys. He's not going to be the only one. And understanding that Trump likely is the best leader for our country, this is a part, the TDS is a part of it that we're going to have to deal with. We have to, I don't know what we have to do, but we have to do something. But welcome to the party, and Damien.
The federal government, of course, does not have to answer to anybody.
And there's no meritocracy.
Right.
Because they have these civil service
there is at certain levels.
Minimal.
And look, there is a lot.
Again, just arguing for the sake of arguing. There's no meritocracy. Like, obviously, there's some level of meritocracy, but as we were just talking about, the private sector versus the government, you can't compare. The amount of red tape is just astronomical.
I don't know this number.
If you're anti-bureaucracy with me, join me in not being scared when I say the things that we need to do to fix.
Yes.
What I'll say.
Don't be scared.
The figure you come up with, 75%, is what I would call rectum derived. In other words, you pulled it out of your ass. So I don't know where we're getting that number, but I will say this. The federal government, the deep state that you're also paranoid about.
The deep state exists. It's the bureaucracy.
Of course it does.
It is the bureaucracy.
Right. And most of it is people processing forms and issuing passports and doing things that make the lives of citizens feel like they're living not in a third world country.
Great. So let's keep those people and get rid of people like Ray Epps or like the people who were part of the MGT kidnapping scheme or any of the other false flag type bullshit that we've seen over the last many times in the last few years.
This is how a nation ends, not with a bang, but with a
Really?
whimper.
This
With
is how a
whimper.
nation ends, with having my
whimper.
passport processed?
So here's my litmus
Yeah,
test.
that's how a
If
nation...
George Washington, I think so.
But
George
but
Washington,
you would agree
Alexander Hamilton walk in the streets of this country today, would they be proud or appalled of that bureaucracy? I think they would be appalled because they never imagined.
Hey, shout out! We've got, all right, let me cover. We've got a new sponsor of the stream. Thank you so much, MJ, for the $15 super chat. Of course, you know that comes not only with a treat for our boy Morty, but that makes you the new sponsor. Oh, well, come on, did you drop it? Here, take this one. Oh my God, holding up the show. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness, I really do appreciate that. And yeah, when you go through PayPal or Cash App, it does bypass YouTube taking that 30%. They don't deserve it, right? I do. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated, MJ. Thank you.
I agree.
That existed,
The
right?
Department of Homeland Security is a
It's a
monstrosity.
disaster.
Right.
Total
I
disaster.
know. But there is also
The
a need
CDC
for an
is a disaster. The
Oh,
FDA
we're all
is
on-
a disaster.
Absolutely.
Right,
The
so-
what one?
The FDA.
The FDA.
The FDA
Totally.
is a
Yes.
colossal disaster.
Of course.
And you know,
Oh, so that government entity is just, a disaster, but all the other ones are good. Come on, bro. Shout out again to MJ for sponsoring the stream. Thank you so much. Very much appreciated.
I mean, I've dealt with the FDA. I've gotten 5 medicines approved
Yes.
that I've worked on that are now approved.
Right.
You dad's got to run. Thank you so much for hanging out, brother. Peace.
I
You
can
know
speak
that one from
first
the
personally.
inside, right?
We could have developed those at a tiny fraction of the cost. And you know what? Who likes the FDA?
And you didn't because of
Because
government?
the FDA.
The
100%.
FDA.
Because of the frickin' drug administration.
No,
And the
frickin'
answer
drug
is that Big
administration.
Pharma wants to keep it that way because that stops new upstarts from bringing competition to market. And so this is the private public sector. It's not a Republican problem or a Democrat problem. It's crony capitalism in the guise of
But
bureaucracy,
how the heck
using it to stifle competition in the market.
I couldn't agree more. But I mean, all the people with their snouts at the trough, the reason why nothing gets done, we tried to build high-speed rail
Yeah,
here in California. I mean,
lobbying, disaster.
it was 7 times the cost of what it would cost to build it in France.
Bill, Zippy says Bill is being facetious, and then again, he is arrogant. Indeed, he is. But he was knocking on the door of a good question of how do we get that to happen? How do we get these agencies to be better? Which is what Vivek has been talking about this entire time. Clearly, he's not listening to Vivek, but he realized that, if I ask him that question, Vivek's going to be able to answer it, and that's not good for me.
Which is not exactly unknown
Too high cost
to
unions.
labor,
Yeah. Yes.
right, issues. And so
Funny thing is,
finally they
France is
just
making us look bad. Even nuclear
just
power
gave
plants,
up.
same thing. They just give up.
You know
Nuclear
what?
power plant to France, 5 to 8 years,
because
20 years.
the
in
money
country.
went to consultants.
Yeah.
Everybody needs so many consultants. Like nobody could even fucking know how to do their own job. They have to have somebody consult.
This is it.
Uh,
You're on the same side of this,
we're
brother.
definitely on that.
But this
so
is the
much
heart of my camp. So when you say deep state, don't say it so like condescendingly.
Well,
yeah. They're like the deep state, as if we don't know about Ray Epps. Like that, just right off that's the last one. But you could go down the list. You can go all the way back. You can go all the way back to as far as you want. I mean, like obviously JFK, but I mean, even I'm sure there was stuff going on before that. I mean, like, come on. Zippy says high-speed rail is a bit of a disaster. Regardless, there's too much space in our states, which are larger than some countries in Europe. I must have missed what he was saying. I don't know. Fair enough, though. Amanda says we all have accepted the content of your character. Now they're trying to flip the script. Well said. MJ, our sponsor of the stream, says Vivek has to strong Bill's ego. Oh, stroke Bill's ego. He has to be so careful not to make Bill mad. It's like Courtier having to try to push the kill without getting himself killed. I'm not familiar with the last part, but that's probably because I'm stupid. But yeah, you're absolutely right. This is the entire notion of know your audience. You're not here to convince Bill Maher to vote for you. You are here to show Bill's audience that, hey, maybe not all Republicans are bad. Maybe not all Republicans are exactly like Trump. Maybe there's a way to bypass this BS with Biden and actually have somebody who is going to help us. Yeah, stroke Bill's ego. It's like the I don't remember gotcha. It's like the court is trying to push a king without getting themselves killed. Gotcha. We worked at teamwork. Teamwork makes the dream work. We got it. Nick says, Zippy, are you going through a divorce? Oh, yeah, we'll not bring that up. MJ said, yeah. I got you. We working together. We got it.
Understand that this is actually the essence of the real threat to liberty as it plays itself out.
But let's say you're
economy. So
let's say you're 75%, which is a pie in the sky wish that'll never come true anyway. So
it's going to come true. I'll tell you.
Not to that number. Let's say it's maybe you're off, but maybe your numbers in your head are just off by a little bit. So let's say we get to 50%. Like we don't need half the government. That could be true. That absolutely could be true.
And I've said half.
But if you say 70%, that's crazy. What are you, a crazy conspiracy QAnon people? Come on. It's like you essentially agree, but you have every intention to do whatever you can to discredit him. Why? Because he's on the other team.
Half by the first year. And so if we discover that's good enough, then great. But here's where I'm at, is that the U.S. president is elected to run the executive branch of the government. And what we have today is a system where the person who we elect to run the executive branch of the government doesn't actually run the executive branch of the government.
That's ridiculous.
I mean, it's just the truth.
How do you know?
I mean, look.
Just open your eyes. Look at what's going on. It's very clear.
Look at what they try to do. I mean, Trump said.
He says Bill talking out four sides of his mouth. Pretty much. He's just here playing defense for all of the ideas that need to be maintained in order for this ideology to exist, because they don't work. So you just have to run constant defense and use constant rhetorical tricks. The deep state that you guys love, your boyfriend Trump, or as we like to call it, semantic obfuscation, because you don't have anything else to say. All you have is, no, you're wrong, we're right. You're bad, we're good. That's it. Unwanted foe. So does Bill really think Joe's brain is firing on all cylinders? Of course not. But he can't say that. That would go against what he stands for, quote unquote.
Because I want to fire people. What did they tell him? You can't fire them because there's civil service protections. The law says you can't fire
we were talking
someone.
about Biden.
Well, I'm saying in the last 50 years in this country, the people who we elect to run the government don't actually run the government. That's just a fact. George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, John Jay. So if they walk around Washington, D.C. today, they say these are puppets.
Well, who was running the government?
A bureaucratic machine. The laws aren't made even in the halls of Congress. Nope. The person executing the law is not the person sitting in the White House. It is a managerial machine.
Okay,
and these are good. I'm not conspiratorial about the evil intentions. These are good people at this level of individuals. But the machine
you have a good
is really what's crushing the will of the people.
It's the machine that is crushing the will of the people. So y'all can all understand systemic issues when it comes to race. But when you think about systemic problems that don't have to do with race, that's crazy. What? A problem with the system? Why is it so easy to understand when it comes to race, but it's so difficult in any other context?
This is where I think we need a few more years on you. You have a good point, but then you just so overstate it.
I'm not overstating it, Bill.
Say it again.
So the people who we elect to run the government,
okay,
they're not the ones who actually run the government.
You just asked him to say it again, and then you interrupted him saying it again. God damn it.
Shut up!
Daniel says they divide us so we can be conquered. Divide and conquer. It's the oldest trick in the book. And Bill is playing right into it. MJ says Vivek is going the right angle. Don't attack a specific person. Blame the machine. Even that point, Bill can get on the train. Yeah, I mean, they've all been running on this whole thing about the system. So when you flip that, and you're saying, yeah, okay, there is a problem with the system, but it's not that problem. It's this problem. Then they can't say, there can't be a problem with the system. We have to trust our institutions. They can't do that. It doesn't work because you've just laid all the groundwork to say that the system doesn't work. And this is why the ideology itself depends on the ignorance of people who don't know any better. Yep, age-old divide and conquer. Wanted Foe said he interviews people for a living and is somehow successful at it. I mean,
That's such an
The
overstatement.
laws are not made in Congress.
They are
They're
made
made
in
by the
Congress.
administrative
They're
state.
affected by the bureaucratic
That's what it's supposed
state.
to be.
okay, then what's an executive order, Bill? That's what I thought.
That's what it's supposed to be.
Oh, come on.
So I'll tell you. So just get
You're
into the
making
details. You got to
it's
get
a
into the details.
ridiculous thing to say.
The thing.
Hey, shout out to JH. Welcome to the party. Said, complain about all the problems in the country that never get fixed, but there is no machine. No. Only in racism. Only in racism is there a machine. But anything else, no. We just got to trust the government. I'm right there with you. Welcome to the party, JH.
Things that the FDA does have nothing to do with the law that Congress has passed. The things the EPA does to the coal industry have nothing to do, or the fossil fuel industry have nothing to do with laws that Congress has passed. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission, the reason we don't have a new nuclear power plant in this country in 30 years has nothing to do with Congress stopping it.
Hit the ATF.
So if you tell the people of this country we don't have new nuclear energy for 30 years, you'd say, oh, well, the people we elect them out. It doesn't matter who you elect in or out. The fact has been the same for 30 years, regardless.
Because it's the system. It's the system. MJ says, I think that if Bill had started as an interviewer, that he wouldn't be famous. He now only makes a living interviewing people because he's going off his fame and as a comedian and name recognition. That's like 80% of the podcasts out there. People who already have a following in one area, and so they just talk about stuff, and people will go and watch them because they like the person, not necessarily engage much with the content or learn from it or anything like that. And, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. Unless you're coming to Club Random with Bill Maher for actual political discussion. What we're doing is not trying to learn from this conversation at face value. What we're trying to do is look at the next level as to how is Vivek handling this conversation? How is Bill handling this conversation? But if you're coming here looking for clear information, then I don't know what to tell you.
And
because the real laws are made by the administrative state.
Okay, but you must know, and I'm with you, that we need more nuclear energy.
Yeah. And the reason we don't, it's not going to change because Congress passes a law.
The reason we don't is because people are, I think, look, I'm not going to say they're ignorant about this issue because, look, I've been on the fence about this one before. It's a complex issue. But I don't think they're paying too much attention to the idea that, yes, until we get to real green energy being the major part of our where we get our energy from,
including nuclear or not including nuclear,
you're going to need nuclear. It's better than the other alternatives.
Yes. There we go.
Yes, way better than the other alternatives.
I mean, the problem is when it goes bad, it goes very bad. It goes like end the world bad.
Okay, so let's not be like Russia and cut corners. Let's just do it right.
Not so far that bad, but it could.
So you know what the irony is?
So don't fuck it up.
Well, you know what the irony is?
Fair enough.
So that
shout out to Smith45 HCP. Welcome to the party. Said, how is this channel not huge already? I ask myself this every single day. If you want to help, like, comment, subscribe, share the video, all that stuff. That is what tells YouTube, hey, this guy's doing some stuff, and we got a party over here. Welcome to that party, Smith. Very much appreciate it. Amanda said, I like Bill, but he's wrong about a lot. I used to like Bill, but he was wrong about too much in too many ways for me to like him anymore. I used to watch, I would never miss an episode of Real Time. And then just once the TDS came on, it's just like, all right, bro, I heard what you said last week. Orange Man bad. I get it. JJ said, I can't stand Bill most of the time. He's so dogmatic unless it's about fighting the crazy woke. Yeah, exactly. He has his ideas and they are what they are. And some of them we may agree with, but he's dogmatic in them. And he's dogmatic about the woke stuff too. He just happens to be dogmatic in a way that we agree with. That doesn't make it better in terms of how you're thinking about it. It just means that you've arrived at a better position by the wrong circumstances. Zippy says, not the newer designs. It's nowhere near as bad. Don't know what you're talking about. Daniel says, is it just me or is he using like a disappointed, stern parent voice? I mean, he kind of talks like that anyway. But yeah, he's like, well, listen, okay, you can't do that. You're not going to win. And I'm just disappointed that you would think that. Yeah, exactly. That's his whole shtick. That's his whole shtick. Nick says, agree. He is not a master of doing interviews, just giving his opinion. Yeah, and like when you think about the actual show on HBO, it's very well scripted. And so this is a very different context for him to be in. And it shows. It shows. You'll even see this on not just on TV, but other levels as well, even with YouTubers. Like you might have a YouTuber who, just posts videos and they have, hundreds of thousands of subs. But then they go live and they don't really know how, like there's a lot going on. There's the chat, there's the videos, there's this, there's that. And then they're just not comfortable. He might be comfortable. He's just not good. Amanda said, getcha. I'd not miss either, but he's not woke at the least. Yeah. We'll take what we can get at this point. We will take what they can get. Oh, newer nuclear designs. So it's not the newer designs and nowhere near as bad. Nuclear designs. Gotcha. Yeah, exactly. That's what we should be looking into. And just because there were issues with a certain type of technology in the past doesn't mean we stop using it. It means we innovate and make it better, especially when it's something so huge that can provide so much to us. And it also is a bipartisan thing. Everybody would do well to get behind using nuclear energy. Everyone. JH said, they say the other fuels are killing the planet anyways, so why not use nuclear? Because people on the right like it. I think that's pretty much the main reason.
NRC, the Nuclear Regulatory Commission that's stopping us from building new nuclear power plants, it's in the name of safety. So in the United States right now, we have Gen 1 and Gen 2 reactors. We don't really have many Gen 3 and we have no Gen 4. The only country with a Gen 4 reactor is China. Gen 4 and Gen 3.
Of course it's China. Of course it's China. So let's get the next. We've got 10 generations of iPhone. What about nuclear energy?
We are way safer than Gen 1 and Gen 2.
Mm-hmm.
And so the irony is in the name of looking after the people and protecting them.
Yeah, no.
We actually have neither helped on innovation nor have helped on safety. And then the FDA, by the way, is the same story. And so, Bill, all I would say is if you agree with me on this, you've got to be willing to actually gut.
Yes. And I'm telling you, I am a great focus group for you because I am a guy.
With this. Yeah.
Because I am a guy who
I thought the caption said, I'm a god. And I really thought he said that.
Who is sympathetic to a lot of the things.
I appreciate that.
You're right. But
I'm still right. And you're on the side that's not my side. So you must be wrong.
So then let's roll this one forward.
Even when you're on the 2-yard line, you fuck it up.
Let's roll this one forward, Bill.
That's exactly what was Dan saying. Exactly that. Even when you're on the 2-yard line, you drop the ball. How dare you?
This one forward.
Even when you're on the 2-yard line, you fuck it up.
Let's roll this one forward, Bill. Maybe right now, because we have no points on the board, maybe we just kick a field goal. And what do I mean by that? It means you don't have to agree with 100% or close to 100%.
Totally.
in order to just say
Right.
half the job of a U.S.
No,
president is
that's
character.
true, but it's
Okay.
got to be more than 4.
Okay.
No, I'm kidding. No, I do. Again, this is serious.
But I think it
point.
is more than 4 between you and I. That's my point.
I am a good focus group for you because I am a gettable guy.
80% of this country is, by the way.
But there,
Interesting. So he's saying I'm a gettable guy, so that he's on the left and he is, by default he's going to vote for the left, but he doesn't like Biden, like a lot of other people, and he's willing to see what do you have to say, at least seemingly, at least to some extent, at least to the extent that he's willing to have him on his podcast. I think that's worth a lot. And unfortunately, I don't think it's worth enough to overcome the stronghold that Trump has. And that's not the end of the world, because Trump is going to be a great leader. But Vivek would be better.
there are
You represent closer to the majority of the Democrat base than the people who are elected in office.
And a lot of
it comes
this
down to the actual people.
A lot of us have to know that you're an actual patriot who believes in what America has always stood for, which is votes count.
I do.
We transfer power peacefully. We don't let a sore loser pretending to be some macho man cry.
So much so.
Okay, so what if he genuinely believed that there was some fuckery afoot and he was legitimately just trying to say, hey, I don't think this went down the right way. Other presidents have done it before. You remember the Bush and Al Gore and the recount and the hanging Chad and all that? Nobody looked at Bush as some horrible person for that. Why is this different? Because of your emotions, because you've been brainwashed to think that this is so much worse, when it's the exact same thing. It is the exact same thing. The only reason it's illegal is because they said, hey, we're going to make that illegal. MJ said, Bill is basically saying, Vivek, I'll appear to listen to you, but it doesn't matter what you say. Okay, you're completely wrong, and you're going to be a failure. Wait for the his laugh track. Oh, yeah, I'm not in my studio. I don't have a laugh track, okay? What the fuck does that have to do with anything? Montefo said, somehow be brought around that example to Trump? Yeah, I don't know. JH said, you made a good point, but GOP and Trump, bad. And she says, the whole point of Bill is to talk Trump and to get people to listen to his podcast. Way too much time spent asking Vivek about Trump. Yeah. How about we dig into, he asked about the FBI and stuff like that, but what else did we really touch on? That's Vivek's platform. Nothing. It was all Trump. Great point, MJ. Great point. It could have been a really, and that's why I wanted to use this, because I thought that we would be getting a little bit farther down the road of, okay, now we're seeing the veneer of the poster child of Vivek, and now we need to start getting to the next level. Okay, what exactly are your policies and how are you looking to enact them? And getting further into what it really actually means to cast a vote for him. But Bill did not do that. Jade says, Vivek is running against Trump, not a lapdog. True. Nick says, the best arguments I have heard is look at how much of the swamp fears Trump. That alone shows he must be the right person for the job at the moment. And, that is a lot of what people are saying. And it makes a lot of sense. Of course, why is he talking about Hillary like that? That macho man crying about the election. Hey, if the shoe fits.
I cannot believe he lost the election.
I'm going to give you one that you and I will agree with potentially here.
I know you can't say it because you want to be his vice president.
I do not want to be his vice president, Bill. I already told you.
Well, okay, but maybe you'll change.
Honestly, the idea of working for somebody right now feels like a sharp poke in the eye. Like right now, that's the sensation I'm experiencing. I have not reported to somebody in over a decade.
I know.
And I just don't do well in that role.
But can I just say something on a personal level?
I got to tell you one thing.
And to help, I feel again.
And again, notice how Vivek was actually about to say something. He was actually about to respond to what Bill was saying. And so now he's going to lean forward. He's going to reach in. Wait, I just want to say something before you can get out something that makes you look good.
Again, I like you. I want to help
I like you back, brother.
I know, and I appreciate you
Yay!
taking
Here.
time to come in. I know, I appreciate it. And you are going to go a lot further. You're not at your floor.
Oh, we're just getting warmed up. Yeah, I think. I
You're
hope.
no, because first of all, you're going to appeal to young men, and young men tend right. I think that's the hardest people to get in the voting booth. They see a guy who looks like you, again, not rapping, but look, you dress sharp. You look like you could be at a club.
This is, what do they call this? Club Random we're at.
Right, we're at club. Exactly.
So we literally are at a club
right now. And they're going to see this guy who's young and he's fresh. And of course, they don't know anything, the kids. So like if you say get rid of the IRS, they're like, sure, I'm going to pay taxes one day. That's going to suck. Let's get rid of them.
What is your point, Bill?
And just the stuff that like, you're like a good version of Andrew Tate. They're just going to.
Oh, I'll take that. A good version of Andrew Tate. I mean, if you take all the bad stuff away about Andrew Tate, that's a pretty good dude.
Like you, and that I think you could excite a group of people that we haven't seen.
We want to bring young people along,
right?
To care about this country.
Well,
I
yeah.
want to make patriotism cool again
Based.
for young people.
Yes.
I want to make patriotism as a concept
can.
cool in this country.
And
you don't
by
have to
the
be
way,
ashamed of the American flag.
I hope this isn't.
It's cool.
I hope this isn't too personal, but I mean it in the best possible way. I think the fact that you are who you are, again.
You can be racist against people other than black people, but yes, he is Indian and Hindu.
And if we could just get rid of a little of the Trump stuff, and that you are a person of color is an advantage. I think it is the right moment. I think it's happening in the right party, a party that is very sort of, they know that in the past, in the recent past, including sometimes the present, they are racist, and they have been. I mean, Reagan started his campaign in Philadelphia, Mississippi, which was a.
Holds up. Do you think that Vivek left this interview and said, "What an asshole"?
Undeniable signal that he was okay with race.
Here's my situation.
So, but they're better than they were, and the fact that they like
all progressives are racist. All progressives are racist.
Like you, that they like you, and I think they're going to like you a lot more. I mean, they're just getting to know you.
The people didn't know me like 6 months ago.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So
and it's been a damn good 6 months. Am I right?
Here's the thing.
I think they're better than they used to be, but there's still a lot of racists.
I think that
in that party.
I think there's a lot of. I mean, what do you call racism when you say you want? I mean, I'll give you a quote. The remedy to past discrimination is present discrimination. The remedy to present discrimination is future discrimination. That's racism too.
That's Kendi.
It's Kendi.
Yep.
You know
Yes.
it. You're all over it. So
I'm
Yes.
anti-racist.
Not
So
down.
my point
not
is,
down with that.
look, if you're like a psychologist and you got a patient that comes in with anxiety, you don't shut them down by saying, "Don't be anxious. Don't be anxious. Don't be anxious."
Right.
They're going to have a bout of anxiety. I think where we are in this
You have to affirm their anxiety. Joke.
country with respect to racism, I'll use an analogy based on you lighting that and watching that, taper out is it's like the last burning embers of racism. That's where we are, actually. I'm serious. I'm just a visual person.
All right, I'll vote for you.
It's the
You
last-
got me.
Hey, he said he'll vote for him. Yeah, we got Bill on board. We got Bill on board. Let's go.
With that one.
It really is. And so what I don't want to do is right as that's burning out, I don't want to come in and throw kerosene on it by saying, "Don't be racist." That's what we'd be doing. And so we're almost.
We are on these burning embers of racism, and what I don't want to do is come in and pour butane on it. Amazing. Amazing. That is the best, even if it is rhetoric, that's the best rhetoric I've heard on racism in the last 20 years. The last 20 years. Yeah, I would say, well, that wasn't expected. I didn't expect it either, but wow. Nick says, I do remember the hanging chads. Caused the left to only stop saying that Bush stole the election when Bush's 2 terms were over. That was Nick's first presidential election. Yeah, so none of this is new. None of this is new. And it certainly wasn't Bill's first election, so he remembers quite vividly. but he chooses not to because it's more convenient. Yeah, MJ says, nice switch up, Bill. Were you playing the dumbass on purpose? Yes. Or are you continuing to play a role? No, I think, yeah, he was playing the dumbass on purpose and, warmed up a little bit. I think he came into this with hot energy, ready to fight. And I think to some extent, obviously he's not going to vote for him, but to some extent, he really did warm up. He really did warm up to him. Jade said, racism is impossible to get rid of. Every country has racism.
Bingo.
Yeah, it's not about getting rid of it. It's about creating a society that says because racists do exist, we are going to act in a way that makes it socially inconvenient to be racist. You can be racist all you want, but you're going to get some shame with that. People are going to give you dirty looks. People aren't going to want to be friends with you, so on and so forth. We don't need to legislate racism away. We just need a strong community. We need a strong culture.
Almost at the promised land.
Mm-hmm.
But
We may not be that close, but we are way.
we're a hair's trigger away from a national revival. We can be. It's not going to happen automatically.
You like my slogan? Let's live in the year we're living in.
I'm with
Right?
you on that.
Isn't that great?
I'm with you on that.
Let's live in the year. That's all I
And
ask.
you know what else I'm going to do in this election is I promised some people I'm going to meet them as you know. So I got to probably roll pretty soon. But this is too fun for me. But here's the thing I will say in this election: if I'm the nominee, and whoever the Democrat nominee is, Joe Biden or anybody else, I'll make a deal. The deal is shun super PAC money, and I will do the same thing. And I'll make the same deal in the Republican primary. Right now, in the Republican primary, a big part of the problem is it's a super PAC primary. I mean, super PAC puppets, one after the other. I'm not playing that game. I'm putting my own money directly into the campaign.
I can't wait to see the debate
But
with
this
you and Christie and Trump.
And we're gonna
Trump, not there. Where did we leave off? Here, Zippy says, well, it makes sense since racism is difficult to maintain. So we are on the last embers of systemic-based racism. Amanda says, do either of these men know what a woman is? Yes, I believe they are both in the camp of two genders. I believe they both are. I don't know where Bill kind of, falters and kind of buys into it, but I do believe that he believes in two genders. Don't quote me on that. For Vivek, for sure, though. Jade says, I'm a rich liberal. Let's just have fun, bro. MJ said, interesting. If Bill lives in the year we live in, why are we talking about 8 years ago crap? Exactly. That's what liberals do. They say one thing, and then behind the mask, they do another. It's what you should expect at this point. It's what we should all expect. Daniel says, that's not true. Americans invented racism and slavery, and the left told me so. Oh, well, my mistake. It's purely American, and it's only black people that have ever been enslaved in the history of humanity. That's a fact, guys. That's a fact. And because of that, black people can't even be racist if they try. It's a crazy thing, but, it's true.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not going to be next week.
No,
It could be in a couple months, though.
I know, but you're in for sure.
Oh, I'm in for sure.
Because
Yeah.
you're like number 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So, and DeSantis. Oh, this is like must-see TV.
It's going to be kind of fun, right?
No, because like these guys are going to know they're in with a guy who can talk and think on his feet. I mean,
We're going to have fun.
And shout out to you guys for being here. I did not expect, the turnout that I did, knowing that all that stuff is going on. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And I we still got a couple minutes here, but I really want to thank you guys for spending this time with me. I mean, the debates, the Trump and Tucker thing they're still going to be there, and they're not going to talk to you. So the fact that you've chosen to come hang out with me warms my little Indian heart. Thank you so much, guys. Where are we? MJ said, okay, I totally agree that we need to legalize drugs. Then make politicians get high before the debates, and the truth will flow from their lips. I am with it. They're not just smoking. They're taking maybe a microdose of shrooms. That would really make it interesting. So he says the primary debates should be mandatory for any candidate. I tend to agree, but it does make sense that like really it just if you're in Trump's shoes, it simply doesn't make sense to go. The only thing you can do is lose support. So I get it. Jade says, is that an underhanded comment about talking on his feet, calling him full of ish? I missed it, but maybe. Nick said, after the news showed the ballots, I assume you're still talking about the Bush and Gore. My feeling was, if you're stupid enough to not make sure you understand it, you deserve to have your vote go to the other guy. Seems like karma to me. Fair enough. All right, let's finish this up and head to the after party.
We're gonna have fun. Look.
We missed what? Yeah, I missed this.
No, because like these guys are gonna know they're in with a guy who can talk and think on his feet. I mean,
we're gonna have fun.
I don't think so. I think just being quick, just being able to respond and not get caught. Well, if I'm that's how I understood it. So I'm gonna say no. Could be, but I don't think so. He's been a lot more obvious with his digs than that.
We're gonna have fun. Look, but what I would say is across the board, laws are complicated on this, and Citizens United, this and that. But if we do a handshake deal and say none of us are going to show up at fundraisers with super PACs or anything else, we're just done playing that game. That's another thing that will unite this country. This used to be a left-wing slogan. I think the right has a mood for this right now. So there's these.
Well, look at him desperately trying to jump in. If there's anything that Vivek says that might sound good, he's going to jump in, put the hands across. Oh, we just wouldn't wait. Just listen to what I got to say.
We tried this a million times.
Wait, called it.
I told you. What did I tell
you? You can read these people. You can read these people like a book. If you just pay attention to their patterns, if you pay attention to what their goals are, it's like, I mean, it doesn't take a lot of skill. Amanda says, I will not vote for anyone that says males can go into a female sport or space. I invite you to stand for your reality and do the same. Hold your ground. Hold your ground. 100% agree, Amanda. 1000% agree with you there.
Let's get money out
via the law.
Let's get
what
money.
I'm saying is let's actually do it through our norms.
Oh.
In our practice, because the laws are complicated because of the First Amendment and the court, etc. But this election, that's something I will hold my promise to if the other candidates do. In the GOP primary, if everybody just agrees as a handshake agreement, we're just going to shun super PACs, and then I do the same thing in the general. So this is the stuff of uniting a country, man.
So where are you off to? What is your next event? Now you came from Iowa. I mean, you flew.
I'm like all over I've been in like 6 states in the last 72 hours. No, 72 hours. But we're we got the debate next week, and it's my first
debate?
Time. The Republican debate.
That's next week?
First,
bro, what you just said? You were just talking about next week. What? Am I retarded? Did he not just say that? He just said that. Nick says, bro, you're definitely more fun than a bunch of politicians. I know that might not be saying much, but I love you. I love you too, brother. Thank you. MJ says, does it feel like Bill is basically telling Vivek it isn't your time because we already picked the candidate and you aren't it. You haven't played our game yet, so get in line. Kind of, yeah. That does kind of feel like what he's saying. Pretty much. Yeah. JH says, let's just stop talking about that. Yeah, anything that can make you sound good. Let's just not talk about it.
Which one's next Wednesday? A week from today.
Is Trump in?
Trump is in, but he won't.
This is what I do, okay? I've been doing this for a long time, okay? You didn't know that Trump wasn't debating tonight?
Show up. Or he's supposedly not going to show up. But everybody else is. So DeSantis, myself, Pence, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott.
All right, so why don't we get the point. They're just going to be talking about and that is going on right now. So I completely agree. If you guys want to go over and check that out, maybe we'll pull it up in the after party in the Discord server. If you want to join, it is free. I just dropped the link one more time in the chat. Come and join us. But I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Whoever's out there on Facebook, they're gone now. But whoever's out there on Twitch, thank you so much for watching. Anybody on Kick or Facebook, any other platform, very, very, very much appreciate you guys spending your time with me. And of course, let's give a big shout out to Unwanted Foe. Let's also say thank you to Dan Jensen. And of course, the sponsor of the stream, MJ, with the $15 PayPal. Thank you so much. It really does mean so much to me that you guys are not only willing to spend your time here, but to part with your hard-earned money. Do please never think that I don't understand how much that takes, and please understand how much it means to me. You guys are awesome. And all we got to do is keep pushing. Look out for tomorrow. Like I said, last night I was on the Timcast members only show. And, just for a call in, I wasn't actually on the show, but I did get to call in and talk to the whole crew about my whole American identity thing. I'm going to be dropping that tomorrow. So please check out for that. And of course, we are headed right to the after party. It is free, guys. It's free for now. Like I say, I have a number in my head. When we reach that number of members in the Discord, I'm cutting it off. And all you guys will be able to stay for free, but everybody else is going to have to pay. I got to pay my bills, you know what I mean? So thank you, guys. Once again, this has been Morty, and I have been your host, Lutch, a.k.a. the Indian Jesus, here to resurrect the second coming of common sense. Until next time, guys, we are out of here. Peace.